White. Wide open, Torrence! Oh, baby! Touchdown! How do you leave the best receiver in the NAIA that wide open?
You show, and that's what we do! Cat!
You're proud of me?
And it's caught! Oh my goodness! Troy Torrence comes down with it!
Welcome all to Bankroll Blitz right here on Pub Sports Radio. Happy Tuesday, October 31st to all of you. Happy Halloween. Troy, my man, how are you on this Tuesday evening?
I'm doing great, man. Life is good. My son, good. Everybody in the family is healthy. So what more can I ask for? Variant's been a little tough to deal with this season. Some spots that I was highly levered in hasn't gone my way. One or two of those hit, and we're looking at a completely different season. My wife sent me two quotes after the Browns lost this weekend, which I was kind of heartbroken about. Adversity causes some men to break, others to break records. We don't quit. We don't cower. We endure and we conquer. Let's get after it today, man.
Oof, man, my girl's got to step up. She ain't giving me shit. I like it. You know, I had a very relaxing week. The lowest amount of action I've had in an NFL week in years. 7 bets, 2 pushed. I only moved on one total. I actually moved on 2 totals. I had a team total. 3 and 2. Very, very calm, relaxing week. You had 28 different bets this week. 28, Troy. You were getting after it, and
well,
wow.
You keep it a lot cleaner than I do. You know, I'm always rebetting lines. I'm slowly adding to my position as the week goes on, or I progress to light bets even more. I'm getting better this week. I mean, I was on the wrong side of a lot of closing lines, so I had to, I doubled down on the spots, and some of it paid off with the Panthers. I took a hit in the mouth with the Browns, but yeah.
Well, let's review the week that was. Shout out to all the cappers in the chat. We got Perky Sanders in the house, Mac Beavers, Terry Walker, the Truth Teller, Sammy Culmer. I just copied and pasted his action, and I've only made 2 bets. Now, maybe it was because I had such a quiet, calm week, but I went after. I've only bet 2 games, but I have 5 bets in the 2 games, and I did my first double up of the season, a spread and money line.
Did you just post that?
I did and I forgot to tag you because I was rushing. I got the work done. I was rushing because I had to take Elle out for Halloween, and it was my bad. I mean to tag you on all of those. But I've got 2 of Sammy Culmer's 5 spots. So Sammy's got Bengals -3.5, Cowboys +3, Giants +2.5, Rams +3, Dolphins +3. I'm right there with them on the Bengals and the Giants. But I tell you, and we're going to talk about the game, I stared at the Eagles. I stared at them, and I continue to stare at them and think about that game. That is such a captivating football game. We have some beauty matchups here in Week 9. Nasty Nate in the house. Al Cervic, Wine Time Sports, Viper, and Be Real Deal Prime. Thank you guys for joining us here. We're an hour late than usual because I promised my daughter that I would go out trick-or-treating, and we had a great, great time. She was the pink Power Ranger. And nice. She was Money in the Bank. She was a lot of fun. We had a great, great time. So let's review the week that was. Of all of the highs and lows and the hardships and the sweaty palms and the roller coaster ride, I'm up 1.93 units over 101 bets. And you're at 145 bets, and you're up 2.32 units. So I'm fine with that. The black is the black, and it's always where you want to be. But it does seem like a lot of work to get to this point at this stage of the season.
And Jimmy, I don't know. Like now, I get it why you want to keep it nice and clean, because when you're trying to review the action, you got to run through 28 bets, and like 3 of them are on the same team, like in 5 different cases. It's like.
It is important to me to keep it clean. It's become more and more and more important as I get older and the stakes get higher because my unit size has not changed now in about 5 years. It dropped at one point and I brought it back up, but in 5 years. But the importance of winning has escalated, raising a family and a young family, and you'll be going through all of that as well. So it is imperative for me to keep it clean, and I'm very comfortable with what I did last week, although the leans that I had would have cashed and were strong, but it is what it is. Last week I went 3-2 plus 0.8 units, and I got lucky. I got bounces as well. Tampa Bay Buffalo over 42. I was expecting to lose that total. I did not expect that 2-point convert to bounce up in the air and be caught. That was a hugely important situation for me because it cashed the Buccaneers team total over as well. The LA Rams Dallas under 45.5 was a terrible decision. The Broncos +8 was beautiful. Bengals +6, beautiful. The Commanders +7 I thought was beautiful. Turned out to be a push. And the Steelers +2 was a mistake. The Jags have hurt me when they could have been helping me. I planned on making future bets on them in the summer, and I got cold feet, and now it's haunting me a bit. Troy, you went 12-16 down 1.56 units, and it was a roller coaster, wild one for you. And now you're 68-77. You're hitting at 46.9%, but when your average line is +143, that's a positive ROI, a +1.60% and +2.32 units. There's Ron Crawford in the house. Great to see you, Ron. Great to see all of you guys. Thank you for rocking with us. Quick review of Troy's action here. And it started with Gabe Davis props for you. That cash, the over 42.5 receiving yards and 80 or more at +425. So you got off to a great start.
That's supposed to say 60 or more. I apologize. It's 60 plus.
Okay. Thank you. 60 or plus. But that was great work. Excellent work. Then you went into the Cowboys Rams unders. A few of us got just creamed immediately, destroyed on those. You took the 45 and the 45.5. Washington, Philadelphia under 43.5. It was just like the first time they met. It was very high scoring. That hurt you. Your belief in the Packers hurt you, +1.5, and the money line. So that was tough. But then you had the Panthers +3, Panthers +3.5, cash. Your love for the Browns hurt. That must have felt, at the 2-minute warning that you were in business, absolute business. Browns +3, Browns money line, loser. Bengals +8. Broncos +8, Bengals +3.5, and Bengals +4.5, cash. Your round robins did not succeed. The Packers and the Browns were part of it. The Bengals were a nice piece. Then you had the same game parlays and the Lions teasers, and the 3 of the 4 Lions teasers cash. The one that didn't was the one with the Steelers. Then you had the Lions -7 and Jahmyr Gibbs over 71.5. He was just a wrecking crew. Then Devontae Adams over 74.5 receiving yards lost, and anything with Adams involved lost, and you had a few same game parlays there. But overall, still down 1.56 units. It's an absolute battle. Let's get back to work with this battle. Al Cervix says you can still get Jacksonville 20-1 for the Super Bowl. I don't want them for the Super Bowl, but I did look at them for the AFC, and I prefer the Bengals at the price.
I'm just realizing right now that I didn't post anything about the Bengals. It's not in any of my action. I definitely bet the Bengals on the money line. And the reason I noticed that I didn't have it on my card here is because, and I just checked Twitter. Didn't post it on Twitter either. But I bet every time that spread drops below that 6, that money line on all those spots where I'll bet it all season long. And I was about to hammer you like, Jimmy, you got to get on those money lines coming, next time that happens. But it's not even in my damn action.
It's tough, man. When you have so much action, it's tough. Some bets do slip through. But yeah, I was looking at the Jags. I'm more interested in the Bengals right now. I think I'd like the Bengals for the AFC. I mean, how many futures? I want to cut down my futures. I've been saying that for 3 years, and I've been doing it actively. How many futures do I want to win the AFC? Because unfortunately, I have the Chargers from the beginning of the year. Ron Crawford spreadsheet play today is the Vikings +4.5. Joshua Dobbs Vikings. And Al says, puts you in a nice spot to hedge in the playoffs at the price. Yeah, no, I thought about both of those. Not for the Super Bowl, but at least the Jags for the AFC. Let's get to work here. But before we do, it's a huge trade deadline day in the NFL. And it was very, very interesting. I mean, there weren't a ton of moves, but the moves were very surprising. And the big one was the Commanders just letting go or giving up on that, highly thought of defensive front four that's just been underachieving hugely. So Montez Sweat now a Bear. They did that last year with Chase Claypool. Where's he? He's on the Dolphins for a second round. But that Chase Claypool move made no sense by the Bears last year. This makes more sense. Get Montez Sweat. Vikings pick up Josh Dobbs after the loss of Cousins for the year. The Jags pick up Ezra Cleveland. I like that. He's not healthy, 100% healthy right now, but, he's a guard that can help. The 49ers pick up Chase Young. More the Commanders just letting go. Lions pick up Donovan Peoples-Jones for a 6th-round pick. I think that can help. The Bills pick up Rasul Douglas, and that is a pick that will help them quite a bit here. So those were the big spots here. Let's get to work right now. Thank you guys for joining us. We have 14 games on our Week 9 slate. Let's get right to work. We start Thursday, November 2nd, 8:15 p.m. Eastern. The Tennessee Titans 3-4, 0-3 on the road at the Pittsburgh Steelers 4-3, 2-2 at home, Acrisure Stadium in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. As there is inclement weather tonight in Madison, and there's inclement weather around, it's really nice weather on Sunday. So we're not going to get a piece of that yet. We know it's coming, but we're not going to get a piece of that yet. 43 Fahrenheit, partly cloudy, 6 miles per hour in Pittsburgh. And so many great cappers in the chat. Love seeing Sky Dragon rocking with us. All you guys, Al Cervic, Sammy Calmer, Ron Crawford, Truth Teller, Wine Time, Slatsy, Real Deal Vipe. This is a great, great group. Perky, Terry, thank you guys for joining with us. You're a lot of help, and your insights are very important. So we're looking forward to hear what you have to say about these games. We have a great Thursday nighter. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. The Pittsburgh Steelers opened up at -2.5. This was a juice 2.5 at the opener at Pinnacle. There was a slight move towards the Titans, and then it started going towards the Steelers. And this isn't a real -3 for Pittsburgh right now. This -3 is at +108. There was a 10-cent move on Tennessee about an hour ago, 45 minutes ago. So Tennessee at +3 is now juiced to -121. So a very interesting spot here where we get to see the truth of what Will Levis is. You find it out when a quarterback goes out onto the road. This total is very low. We're sitting at 36.5. I mean, just alarmingly low. Opened up at 36. It's gone up a half point. We go over to the cash flow for this one. And let me get this right here. Cash flow wise, on the spread, 40% of the tickets and 46% of the cash is on the Steelers, which I'm very interested in. I'm not going to let the fact that I lost with them last week, play any part in my interest in them. I'm interested in them. 72% of tickets and 99% of cash on the under, and yet it's gone up a half point. So the Titans coming off an impressive 28-23 win at home over Atlanta. Will Levis's NFL debut, he was excellent. 19-29, 238 yards, 4 touchdowns. He joins Marcus Mariota in 2015 with the Titans, and Fran Tarkenton as the only quarterbacks ever to throw 4 touchdown passes in their NFL debuts. He threw more touchdown passes through his first 3 quarters than Ryan Tannehill had through 6 games this year. It's wild. Hopkins was the number 1 target. That's so important for a young quarterback. Make the playmaker happy. Make the most important playmaker happy immediately. He did that. 4 catches, 128 yards, 3 touchdowns. Derrick Henry ran 22 times for 101 yards, caught 4 for 21. They only made 1 appearance in the red zone, but they cashed it. I don't think we should pay too much attention to what their stats are before Will Levis, but I don't believe we know who he is till we see him on the road as well. But they're 30th in the league scoring TDs, 36.4% of the time of red zone opportunities. We're going to have that a few times throughout this show where teams, their stats don't matter to me because there's a change at the most important position. The pass rush was excellent. We know that from the Titans. 6 sacks, 9 quarterback hits. Held the Falcons to 4 of 15 on 3rd down. And that's a situation the Titans aren't that good at. The 16th in the league, allowing opponents to convert 38.5% of 3rd downs. The Falcons managed to go 2 for 3 against the Titans' very good red zone defense. They're 2nd in the league, allowing touchdowns on just 34.6% of opponents' opportunities. That's why their unders are always going to be so low because they're so good in the red zone. They lost right tackle Chris Hubbard to a concussion. He's in concussion protocol. And linebacker Joe Jones for the hamstring and didn't return for the second half. He was not listed on the injury report. Steelers coming off a 2010 loss at home to the Jaguars. Kenny Pickett sustained a rib injury with 11 seconds left in the second quarter. Did not return to the game. I cannot bet the Pittsburgh Steelers and have a crucial part of the game with Mitch Trubisky at quarterback. And it's not that I think that there's a huge that Pickett is such an upgrade or anything like that. I've seen it before. I've read the story, and the story is a horror, novel where you lose your money. And he's going to be a game time decision Thursday. So how do you properly put together a game script? Tomlin said this, quote unquote, I think the door is definitely ajar for Kenny. A game type decision based on the information that I'm holding here today with no structural damage and so forth to his rib. Trubisky, 15 of 27, 138 yards, touchdown, and a pick in the second half. Najee Harris is nowhere to be found, 7 carries for 13 yards. So you can't rely on him. Deontay Johnson, 8 catches for 85 yards. This offense is ranked 24th in both red zone offense and third down conversion rate. They're just, not good. Minkah Fitzpatrick hurt his hamstring. He's already been ruled out. So they're going to have DeMonte Kazi, Keanu Neal, Miles Killebrew, Elijah Riley, to help that spot. And then maybe Patrick Peterson could play safety. Quarterback Levi Wallace missed the game with a foot injury. So before I went over all this, I was going to be on the Steelers, but then I'm like, I don't care that I don't believe in Levis. Who the hell's playing for the Steelers? The pass rush has not been as dynamic as we expected this year. 3 sacks, 5 quarterback hits. Cam Hayward has been designated to return from the IR, but he hasn't come back, and he's still listed as questionable with the groin injury. This defense that we thought was so dangerous, 23rd in third down conversion rate, 12th in red zone defense. So all of that information kept me from betting the Steelers. Take it away for us here, Troy. Game 1, Thursday nighter, Titans-Steelers.
I love the way you broke it down. And if I read you exactly how the notes are laid out on my card right now, or on my little Word document, you'd see me going back and forth and tripping over myself. But essentially, we got Kenny Pickett, who has this rib injury. And I'll tell you right now, quarterbacks do not perform well with rib injuries. That torque when you're throwing the ball, it's very tough to deal with. I'm surprised he is even being considered as healthy enough to play this week, to be honest, after watching that transpire last week. And then, if we get Mitch Trubisky, so you either get Pickett with a rib injury or you get Mitch Trubisky, who had a 42.3 grade per PFF, 2 picks. Dude was clearly not comfortable. He was thrown into the fire. So I do expect a better performance with the full week to prepare, that psychological factor. But on the other side, you got Will Levis. Like, how hard is this game to handicap when you got Pickett with an injury, or Trubisky, who's terrible, or you get Will Levis, who's the unproven rookie, essentially, that's playing on the road in his first, road start. But, the kid was impressive, man. 4 touchdowns, a 12.3 ADOT, average depth of target. I think that's a very impressive numbers in his first game out there. But it was at home, right, where the Titans are much better, way more comfortable at home versus one of the weakest graded pass rushes in the NFL. It didn't look fluky at all, but I still think, like you said, man, we need a full picture. We need to see this kid on the road before we could really put our eggs in his basket. And then you got some other just interesting metrics. When I started looking at this game, I really wanted to bet the Steelers. I ended up on the other side. I'm on the Titans +3. And this is even after I found this. I'll give you everything that I have here. Steelers as a home favorite, the market move is 5-0 ATS. Right now, that would say take the Steelers because the line kicked up from 2.5 to 3. But I grabbed the 3, fully expecting this number to drop back down to 2.5 and potentially lower. The X's and O's has me leaning towards the Titans. So that's one database note that has me leaning towards the Steelers. But I think X's and O's have me leaning towards the Titans. Then you got 2 backup QBs in a primetime game with stagnant offenses. I think this is another spot where you might be looking towards the under. The market has been very efficient with these low totals too. So pay attention to that. But here's one thing there's a common theme in all these games. You'll see so many spreads at 3. And, so I started digging into the database, which I don't have a big sample of, but what I do have here is pretty significant in my opinion. So when you have a home favorite of -3 and the total's less than 38, the road team is 4-0 ATS and the under is 1-3 ATS to the under. So 3-1 to the under. And you'll even see that even if that line moves towards, so right, home favorites at -3 and the line moves towards them, they're still 4-0. In all these cases, the line moved towards the home team, this low of a total, and every single time the road team cashed. So I ended up moving on the Titans. I think that with this low total, catching 3 points, I back the Titans.
It makes sense. Even when Skydragon said Tennessee's the only way you can play, says Pickett's mediocre, Trubisky's horrid. Yeah, I agree. And Leonard Wells says, Will Levis under passing yards. If Minkah Fitzpatrick's in, I would bet that. Even though I don't like. I try to stay off of all player props, but I want Minka in there. So when it's all said and done, I understand why you went to the Titans. I'm not going to buy Levis high. I would rather not bet and not do that. But after we break it down, I guess you're right. I guess the Titans is the only way you can look, unless tomorrow at practice, tomorrow being, Wednesday, November 1st, Pickett's like, looks good, feels good. But how is that possible? So, and did you tweet out this action already?
Yes, I did. I think I CC'd you on it.
What did you get?
Yes, Titans, I tweeted it out. I got
Titans +3 at
-110.
It makes sense. It really does. Titans +3 at -110. We just talked about the 10-cent move over to the Titans at this number that happened in the last hour. So that's at pinnacle right now at -121. So it's a pretty good place to be at. And Al Survey says he gets nervous about a rookie off 4 touchdowns in his first home game in Pittsburgh in a 3-day turn. Yeah. And Sammy says, Pitt or nothing. Levis is going to have to show me he can do it on the road. I agree with all of that.
I agree with that, too. I definitely agree with that. But, these I was sold once I started digging through and looking at these low totals and these road dogs. And it's a profitable spot.
Troy has moved on to Thursday nighter, and I have not. We move on. Sunday, November 5th, we head to Frankfurt Stadium. Frankfurt, Germany, 53 Fahrenheit, light rain, 14 mile per hour wind. Miami Dolphins at Kansas City Chiefs. They gave the Germans a beauty game. Gave them a beauty game. We've watching what we throw over to the UK for the last little while. And Dolphins, Chiefs, both at 6-2. I hope they understand how good they have it. This is going to be fun. Let's get into the line history here for this one. We have a total that is sitting at 51. This opened up at 50.5, but BetOnline opened it at 52.5. So depending on where you look at it, I look at it from Pinnacle's perspective, and Pinnacle's has moved it up a half point. Let's get over to the spread on this one. We have it sitting at -2.5 on the Kansas City Chiefs, -2.5, -106. And that's exactly where it is right now. But this did get up to -119, -121. The initial move was towards the Kansas City Chiefs. And how could you not be interested in the Kansas City Chiefs in the bounce back spot? I mean, I don't know how you wouldn't be. The Dolphins come in off a 31-17 win at home over the Patriots. And I don't believe I gave out the cash flow for this one. 77% of the tickets and 97% of the cash on the Chiefs. 24% of the tickets and 83% of the cash on the under. Sky Dragon said this would be a big time win for Miami, though, who really would love to shut everyone up about their ability to beat good teams. That is so true. Slatsy says Dolphins always shoot the bed versus quality opponents. And they hear that everywhere they go. So the Dolphins have a 1-game lead over Buffalo in the AFC East. They're 6-2 for the first time since 2001. And this offense is elite. I don't care if they laid an egg in Buffalo. This is an elite offense. 390 yards, held the ball for 35 minutes and 55 seconds. Tua was 30 of 45 for 46 for 300. I don't have the number. I screwed that up. I don't know. I imagine it was 346 yards. 3 touchdowns, 1 interception. He also lost a fumble. Could have been 246. This feels a little bit like that stupid game show. All right, let's stay focused. Tagovailoa 6-0 against Belichick in his career. Jalen Waddle led receivers with 7 catches for 121 yards and a touchdown. Tyreek 8 catches for 112 yards. First player in the Super Bowl era to have 1,000 yards receiving through 8 games. Raheem Mostert and Jeff Wilson are mediocre at best. I've watched them play their whole careers. Even with the incredible passing offense, they're going to be mediocre. That's it. They are a different team when Achane is back there with his unbelievable skill set that I didn't realize he could drop in the NFL. Their defense was strong. They held the Pats to 1 of 9 on third down. They're 11th in the league, holding opponents to just a 37.5% conversion rate. Fangio's doing a great job. Held the Pats to 1 for 2 in the red zone. And that's a situation they've struggled all year. 27th in the NFL, allowing touchdown on 65.5% of opponent opportunities. Jalen Ramsey, first game back, and he looked excellent. Interception. Missed the first 7 games of the season after having surgery in July to repair a torn meniscus in his left knee. He's a huge help because Xavier Howard and safety Javon Holland both missed the game. Howard dealing with the groin injury. They have him listed as questionable on the injury report right now. Holland's still in concussion protocols, so we don't know if they're going to be in the lineup at this point on Tuesday night. Right guard Rob Hunt hurt his hamstring. He left the second quarter, but he's not on the injury list. And of course, Tron Armstead remains out indefinitely with a knee injury. The Chiefs come in off an ugly 24-9 loss at Denver to snap their 16-game winning streak over the Broncos. Mahomes was dealing with the flu. He didn't look good. 24-38, 241 yards, no touchdowns, 2 interceptions, and he lost a fumble. He had a 59.2 passer rating. Troy, put out an incredible tweet comparing the statistics of Russell Wilson and Patrick Mahomes, and they're a wash this year. And that was shocking. The people who read that tweet everybody was just like, didn't understand the ability this year of this Chiefs defense and how much it's helped Mahomes, even though, we know who's the better quarterback. We're not saying anything about anything crazy, but just so far this year, the numbers, that's all. Mahomes' first loss to Denver after 12 wins, his first road defeat in the AFC West after winning 16 straight away. I mean, just Kelsey, 6 catches, 58 yards. Rashid, 4 for 56. Pacheco had 8 carries for 40 yards. They didn't look good. 275 total yards, 3 of 10 on third down. They're 4th in the league, converting 47% of the time on third down. They were 0-3 in the red zone. They were 1-5 in the red zone the last time they played the Broncos. If you take out those 2 games against the Broncos, they're a really good red zone team. But this year, they're only getting touchdowns 51.6% of the time. That's 18th in the league. The defense got pressure on Russell Wilson, sacked him 6 times, hit him 8 times. The Broncos went 6 of 14 on third down. The Chiefs against third down are just, mediocre, 14th in the league. They held the Broncos to 3-5 in the red zone, another spot where they're sort of just mediocre, 15th in the league. Opponents are hitting 52.2% or scoring touchdowns 52.2% of red zone drives. Willie Gay hurt his tailbone in the second half. Now, he's not on the injury report, and that's so important because Nick Bolton is going to be out until the end of the regular season. I understand the Dolphins want to win so badly, but how do we not want the Chiefs in the bounce back spot? Take it away for us here, Troy. Frankfurt Stadium, Dolphins, Chiefs.
What a game. You're right. I mean, these Germans got it good, man. These Germans got it good. 2 quality teams coming off a loss, neutral field. And I've been lower than the market on both these teams, and I've been very vocal about that. Patrick Mahomes' record as a short favorite, I mean, that's extremely hard to look past because his record is phenomenal as a short favorite. But I can only look towards the Dolphins in this game. Both teams have had a week and easy schedule for the most part this year. Chiefs at 22nd, Dolphins at 23rd. But PFF has significantly graded this Dolphins defense higher than the Chiefs. They got the Chiefs at 20, and the Dolphins is 3rd. Now, I tend to believe they're giving a little too much credit to the Dolphins defense based on their body of work so far. But at the same time, I believe it's better than the Chiefs defense. I've been one of the guys, kind of screaming from the mountaintops that this Chiefs defense isn't bad. It's not great. It's average, but it's definitely not. I don't think it's the best defense Mahomes has ever had. That's just how I feel and how I see it. And I think offensively, the jig is kind of up on this KC offense. The way it currently sits in its current form, I think the jig is up. Lowest yards per attempt in Mahomes' career, lowest ADOT of his career, the worst turnover-worthy play percentage of his career, and just a huge lack of offensive threats with only Kelsey that poses any threat to the defense at all. And not to mention, they've been very bad at the tackle position. Mahomes has depended on those tackles for his entire career. Now, they are better pass blocking tackles than run blocking tackles, but they're still not well above average like they usually are. And I think he's struggling with that a little bit. I know sharp action is going to be on Mahomes. I wouldn't be surprised to see this line move to 3. I already moved on the Dolphins in a teaser with the Browns, so I got the Dolphins up to 8.5. But I'll be looking towards the Dolphins at 3. If we get like a 3 at a pick'em price, I'll probably be moving on that. But another play that I moved on in this game is the under. So here's from the database. When the total at Pinnacle moves over and lands at 50 or higher, it's 6-0 to the under in the past 2 seasons. I think that makes sense to me. The Chiefs don't have the pieces to have multiple explosive plays or like some continuity behind explosive plays. I don't think they have the talent to do that. And the Chiefs probably want to limit the number of possessions that they offer to 2 in the Dolphins. I think they'll play slow, try to play methodical, efficient football, which will really help the under. We know that the Dolphins defense comes down to earth when they play against solid defenses. This is a league average defense. So I expect an under in this game as well. I might like the under a little bit better.
And you have yet to move on the under. You just
no, I tweeted that out as well.
Okay, what was the under you got?
Chiefs versus Dolphins under 51, and I got it at the pick 'em -110. I posted all of this maybe 3-4 hours before the show.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense because I with my daughter out for Halloween. So Dolphins. So I'm not gonna look at it right now just because I'd rather hear it and while everyone else is. So Dolphins plus 8.5 is part of a teaser with the Browns. We'll get into that later. And the under 51. That makes sense. Rance looking at that under. Truth Teller agreeing on the under. Big O saying Chiefs defense still legit. Al Service says Miami D look good versus Mac Jones. All right. I understand this is a different animal, but I don't feel enough at this point for me to move on a side. I feel like I can make legitimate arguments on either team. And I also think that, flying off to Frankfurt, if, Mahomes has the flu that he's dealing with, I mean, that's not the best case scenario for him either, even though I do expect him to bounce back and I do expect them to slow the game down. And I'm so excited to see what Andy Reid does to slow down the Dolphins. Saying all that, I don't
they got the Eagles. They got the Eagles on deck as well, coming back from over the pond.
A huge game. I can't wait to talk about the Eagles. I've still there. So many fascinating football teams this year, and more parity than we are used to. Although there is a group that's better than the rest, and the Eagles are certainly in that group, and so are the Dolphins and the Chiefs. I'm off of this one at this point. The under 51 -110 makes sense. I read that Leonard Welsh on the first half under 24.5. I might even prefer the first half under. Just because if these quarterbacks are forced to deliver late, we know that they're capable of it. Brady, it's nice to see you. Ian Shaber said I'm on the under 51.5 as soon as.
And the line is shaded that way as well at 24.5.
Yeah, much lower. You're absolutely right. That I'm just going to leave that first half under as a lean. Troy's got the Dolphins plus 8.5 for the teaser with the Browns in the under 51. Let's move on to the next spot on the board. 1 p.m. Eastern, Minnesota Vikings 4-4, 3-1 on the road at the Atlanta Falcons, 4-4, 3-1 at home. We're at Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta, Georgia. What a difference a week makes. 2 new quarterbacks under center. We expect, of course, Arthur Smith has promised us, quote unquote, I promise you, I'll come in on Wednesday and I'll tell you who's starting. Well, we believe it's going to be Heineke, of course, but we won't know for certain until Wednesday. Let's talk about this spot here. We'll start with the line history. Of course, heartbreak for Vikings fans to lose Kirk Cousins for the season with a torn Achilles. Never missed a game because of injury in his 12-year career. Missed one because of positive COVID test, but very durable quarterback. It's too bad to see him go out like this. Pinnacle has Atlanta -4.5. This opened up at 4 and went to 4.5. And just because Josh Dobbs has been traded to the Vikings doesn't necessarily mean for sure he's going to be starting at this point.
I don't think so.
That's important because the first thing that you would think is, oh God, well, he'll start right away. But so your expectation is Jaren Hall will be under center for this game.
I expect Jaren Hall. I would say 60-40 Jaren Hall.
Crucial stuff here. So Will Hill at 5, a lot of books at 5, Pinnacle at 4.5, and it's barely juiced to Atlanta. From a total scenario here, we are sitting with it at 38 at Pinnacle. It's 37.5 everywhere else. This 38 is really juiced to the under, so it's basically 37.5. It's -119 to the under. From a cash flow standpoint here, we have here we go. Sorry about here we go. We have 29% of the tickets and 41% of the cash on the Vikings. I love that about sharps. I love about their expectation of overreaction from the gambling public. It's a fun thing knowing that would be where the sharp money is, regardless of whether the market's moving in that direction. Then we have 88% of tickets and 98% cash on the under. 88 and 98. Andrew G says Jaren Hall will start, and he's more of a runner. NFL spreadsheet play today is the Vikings at +4.5. And Slatsy says Dobbs not starting according to Vikings coach, but may be available to play in the game. Important stuff. Rand's looking at the first quarter under. Here we go. Vikings come in off a 24-10 win at Green Bay. Of course, the Cousins situation happened, and it's Jaren Hall. Nick Mullins is on injured reserve, and Sean Mannion's on the practice roster. I mean, I'd take Jaren Hall over Sean Mannion. It's too bad Nick Mullins isn't there because, we've watched him come in for the Niners a few times and play decent. It was such a complete, thorough victory for the Vikings. Back to 4-4. It's just football can be just so cruel to fans. And 5 minutes left in the second quarter of that game. They'd outgained the Packers 182-26, and they were up 13-0 in first downs. KJ Osborne caught 8 passes for 99. Hawkinson 6 for 88 and a touchdown. Addison 7 for 82 and a touchdown. But the running game was once again ineffective. And now nobody's going to be afraid of your passing game. So now you're in huge, huge trouble. Alexander Madison and Cam Akers combined for 25 carries for 50 yards. This running game is going to be worse and worse. The defense looked great. Finished with 4 sacks, 7 quarterback hits. Held the Packers to 1 rushing first down. Medalist had an interception. The defense will be relied upon now in a huge way. Their red zone defense, 21st in the league, allowing touchdowns on 57.1% of their drives. Their third down defense ranked 26th in the league, allowing conversions 43.5% of the time. And they're going to continue to be without Marcus Davenport. He's not expected back till late November, and that's going to put all the pressure on Danielle Hunter. Atlanta comes in off a 28-23 loss at Tennessee. Desmond Ridder, 8 of 12 for 71 yards and lost fumble in the first half. He was terrible. It's too bad because they're back at home where he's looked good at times, but on the road, good God, is he bad. He was evaluated for concussion at halftime. He was cleared, but it wasn't enough for Arthur Smith to watch any more of that. I like Arthur Smith. I think he's a really smart dude. Heineke came in through for 175 yards and a touchdown, drove Atlanta to points on 4 of his first 5 possessions. I know there were so many Atlanta fans waiting for Heineke time. And we'll find out tomorrow if it's Heineke, but we all expect him to be there. Kadero Hodge caught 3 for 75. Drake London 5 for 55, but he hurt his groin during the game. He's listed as day-to-day. And Arthur Smith said on Monday that it wasn't as bad as we thought. That's what he said. So we'll find out more as the week goes on, whether or not, Drake will be out there. The defense did not look good. They allowed, Will Levis in his NFL debut to put up 4 touchdowns and 375 total yards from the Titans. And they lost defensive lineman Grady Jarrett for the season with an ACL tear. That's just a huge loss for this guy who's been there through the thick and thin, through good teams and bad teams for Atlanta. He finally has a really good defense around him, and he's gone now. So you have Albert Huggins, Daquan Graham, Mikael London. It's too bad. They weren't. It's too bad. I really like Jarrett. It's too bad. And the defense has been good this year. 5th in the NFL in red zone, allowing touchdowns just 42.1% of the time. Tied for 3rd in the NFL in third down defense. Younghoe Koo continues to look really good, hitting clutch field goals. Losing Jarrett is just a colossal loss. Take it away for us here, Troy. Vikings, Falcons in Atlanta.
Yeah, I actually, there's a little discussion going on in the chat about how much Kirk Cousins is worth to the line. I moved it 4 points because of him being out. And I actually think, I'm not sure, would the Falcons be favorites in this game if Kirk was at under center? What do you think, Jimmy?
Yes, I think the Falcons would be slight favorites. Yes, but by the tiniest of, I would imagine it'd be like a -1.
Damn near a pick 'em.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, that's kind of what I had on the line. So when I actually I bet the money line on this game. I have a Falcons-Ravens money line parlay in this game. I mean, we just seen what a backup quarterback, Levis, was able to do to Atlanta. Can rookie Jaren Hall repeat it? think it sounds pretty hopeful. And if Josh Dobbs is going to be thrown into the fire, then so be it. I'm not concerned. I mean, he's going to have to learn a whole new language in a matter of days. There's no way I just can't imagine that he starts this game. So I'm really predicating all this that Jaren Hall is a starting quarterback. The loss of Kirk Cousins, in my opinion, is going to be way too much to overcome with a team that cannot run the ball. And I mean, a roster that's under average. Like, their roster is not very good offensively. Once you remove JJ and you remove Kirk Cousins, that roster just falls off a cliff. Now, Addison has been a pleasant surprise, but he needs a quarterback that's going to be able to deliver him the ball. And if you can't run the ball, which you shouldn't be able to, because the Falcons' defense has been incredible this year, I think that's going to force Jaren Hall to pass the ball exactly where we want him. And I know the Falcons have been bad, and I've been talking about how they're overpriced and overrated in the market. They still have a better roster from top to bottom without JJ and Kirk. They're still first in their division, contending for the playoffs. They're at home where they've been much better. I like Heineke significantly better than I like Desmond Ridder. They've proven they can stop the run, force Hall to pass. And, if Dobbs is at the helm, if he gets to start on Sunday, maybe I could tease the Vikings back up and have a huge middle, because I really think this is going to end a, one possession game. Definitely not over, 10. I can't see anybody winning this game by 10 points. So maybe that's how I'll play it. But for right now, I got the Falcons on a money line parlay at plus 110.
Falcons, and you are tying that with Baltimore?
With Baltimore.
Money line parlay. We will talk more about that here. I need to know. I mean, I'm not going to be able to put a legitimate game script until I find out what Arthur Smith has to say tomorrow. I think we assume that it's going to be Heineke. I think that we've seen enough of Ridder that I wouldn't want to build my team around him. And so we'll see if that is the decision. If they do want to build their team around him, well, then they start him again here at home. But we'll have to see. Sammy Coleman said this is more of who's starting a quarterback for Atlanta than it is who's starting a quarterback for Minnesota. Yeah, I agree. I agree with this. This does not appeal to me at all at this point in any form. So Sky Dragon made it a 3-point adjustment, Cousins to Hall. So at this point, Troy has action here. Falcons, Ravens, moneyline parlay, and I don't want to be involved until we find out what's going on tomorrow at quarterback. So let's roll on. Next up for us, 1 p.m. Eastern, Arizona Cardinals 1-7, 0-4 on the road at the Cleveland Browns, 4-3, 3-1 at home at Cleveland Browns Stadium, Cleveland, Ohio, 54 Fahrenheit, chance of showers, 13 mile per hour winds. Get into the line history here for this one. This total sitting at 37.5. It opened up at 39.5. We have a 2-point drop at Pinnacle. That's a big one with a low total. Then we have Cleveland sitting at -7.5. I wonder, this is probably the most likely survivor pick for a lot of us here on the board. Let's take a look at the cash flow for this spot. Here we go. And I imagine that this will be the number one spot for survivor picks. You have 14% of the tickets and 49% of the cash on the Arizona Cardinals. Then you have 91% of the tickets and 99% of the cash on the under, and it's dropped 2 points. Arizona comes in off their 5th straight loss, 31-24 setback at home to Baltimore. I used Arizona in the contest, and I was fortunate to get there. I mean, onside kick recovery. I was afraid to bet them, so I just stayed off, but I used them in the Cappers contest here at Pub. Dobbs was 25-37 for 208 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. He ran 6 times for 26 yards and lost a fumble. Fumbled in 5 straight, and now he is gone. Jettisoned to the Minnesota Vikings. It was announced after the game that 5th-round pick Clayton Tune, 2023 draft pick out of Houston, will be starting. Kyler Murray returned to practice this week for the first time since tearing an ACL last season, but they say he won't start until week 10. That is what everybody expects at this point. Against the Ravens, McBride led the way with 10 catches for 95 yards and touchdown, and Demercado looked good. Ran 20 times for 78 yards. The offense is missing James Conner and Zach Ertz badly, especially the red zone offense. The defense was pretty good. I know that they allowed Baltimore to go 4-4 in the red zone, but they held Baltimore to 268 yards. They're just, bad in the red zone. And they did get pressure on Lamar Jackson. They sacked him 4 times and hit him 6 times. The Browns coming off a tough 24-20 loss to Seattle. P.J. Walker, 15-31 for 248 yards, touchdown, 2 picks. He also ran 6 times for 27 yards and lost a fumble. And we have Deshaun dealing with residual swelling. So that's week to week. And, if it's at this point, it's a rotator cuff injury and, it's just week to week. They say it's unlikely that it's longer than 2 weeks. They put up 385 yards and 23 first downs. Amari Cooper's having a great season, 6 more catches for 89 yards, doing it with, pretty weak quarterback play. Njoku caught 4 for 77. Kareem Hunt had his best game of the season, ran 14 times for 55 yards and touchdown, caught a 12-yard pass. So with Kareem Hunt, Pierre Strong, and Jerome Ford, they combined for 33 carries for 133 yards. That allows them to hold on to the ball, dictate the game. They held on the ball for 36 minutes and 40 seconds. The defense, though, wasn't able to get the pressure that we're accustomed to. And on NFL PubHub, Birdie made a point of hitting this defense. And there's a couple defenses in the league that we thought were going to be really good. And now I don't know what's going on. This defense got gashed for 6.7 yards per carry by the Seahawks. 1 sack and 3 quarterback hits. The Browns this year are 28th in the league in red zone defense. They allow touchdowns on 66.7% of their drives. All of this has become I just wasn't expecting it. I just wasn't expecting there to be so weak at times defensively. Take it away for us here, Troy. Cardinals, Browns in Ohio.
So take it for what it's worth, because I'm back in the Browns in this spot. It's easy to me. I cannot envision a situation where the Cardinals win this game. I think it's a perfect bounce back spot for P.J. Walker against this Cardinals defense, which PFF has graded out as 31st in the NFL. The best grade on their defense in all the positional groups is their pass rush, which is 29th. They're 30th in run defense, 31st in coverage, 30th in third down defense. I see the Browns having success on the ground and through the air. Be it P.J. Walker, pretty much whenever I just look at a Browns game, I'm pretty much these are the worst quarterbacks in the league. No matter who you're going to get, I have them graded as one of the worst quarterbacks in the league, and I'm still back in the Browns in this spot. The Cardinals haven't proven that they could win or be very competitive on the road. Like I said earlier, I have the Browns and Dolphins teaser. I expect to be on the Browns in more than one way, and I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to do. Hopefully we could talk some things out, and I could pair more things with the Browns. And if Kyler Murray is ruled in for this game, I'll take it straight. Murray's announced in, and this line comes down to 7 or 7.5. I'll take the spread just like I did with the Lions. Kyler in his first game back versus a piss-off Browns defense and a team off a loss on a road in a hostile environment where Kyler Murray's been significantly worse on the road in his career. Let's just pray he's in so I get the Browns around the 7 or maybe even under a 7. But when you have a home team with a spread of higher than 4, like I talked about the 3 or lower than a 3 around a field goal earlier, and the low totals, well, if it's -4 or higher and the total's under 40, home teams are 6-4 ATS, 10-1 straight up, and undefeated on the teaser. 10-1 on the teaser. But if the spread is over a touchdown, undefeated ATS, undefeated on the money line, undefeated on the teaser. So I really like the Browns to get the job done.
I don't know why they wouldn't have, if they knew that they were about to jettison Dobbs, why they wouldn't let Clayton Tune start at home. I just don't understand why they didn't give them the Ravens game. You want to send them to Cleveland here for your first start? I mean, you're setting them up just to get eaten alive. What are your thoughts on this Browns defense? Because it is perplexing. 28th in league red zone defense, allowed the Seahawks just to gash them on the ground. Can you give me your feeling on this? Do you expect it to improve? Where do you rank them? Take it away.
I have this defense right now as 4th overall. I think that they play a very volatile style of defense where they know they're not getting much offensive production, so they try to overcompensate or, have good defense turn into their offense. And I think that's very clear. They continue to get gashed with their pass rush. The two, Zadarius Smith and Myles Garrett get so far up the field on their pass rush on running plays that they're just create really wide holes to run through. But at the same time, if you get them behind the sticks, you get a, 2nd, 3rd, and long, It's right where they want you. They'll put their hair back and go get after the quarterback, force turnovers. That's at least what I see, because how could you continue to rush your edge rushers up the field and you're just getting gashed on the ground? To me, it just tells me they're waiting for that one chance that it's play action, it's a different play, and they could create a huge, massive, game-changing turnover.
That makes sense. And Sky Dragon saying Cleveland defense is elite. Well, at this point, I'm only using the Browns in my survivor. I don't know how much more I want than this. I don't want to expect Clayton Tune to be any worse at quarterback than what we've seen so far this year for the Cardinals. I don't know if that's the situation. And you have the Browns tied together with the Dolphins. Is that right? In your teaser, Dolphins?
Yep, that's correct.
Dolphins plus 8.5. And what was the Browns number you got?
I got -1.5 on the Browns.
So Troy's teaser, Dolphins plus 8.5, starts early Sunday in Frankfurt, and Browns -1.5. Let's roll on. Next up for us, 1 p.m. Eastern, Los Angeles Rams 3-5, 2-2 on the road at the Green Bay Packers, 2-5, 1-2 at home, Lambeau Field in Green Bay, Wisconsin, 44 Fahrenheit, mostly cloudy, 8 miles per hour. Let's get into the line history here. This is a -3 right now. It opened up at -3, and the Rams were plus 105. Since then, there's been an 8-cent move towards the Rams. They're now -103. Green Bay is still juiced, but much less than. Let's go over to the total for this Packers-Rams spot. Sitting here with a 39 at Pinnacle. There are 39.5 on the board. This has moved 9 cents towards the over at 39. So they may be moving it to 39.5 at some point as well. Let's get into the cash flow then for this spot. And more of a possible quarterback carousel going on. 37% of the tickets, 36% of the cash on the Rams on the spread, and then 81% of the tickets and 96% cash on the under. Rams come in off a very ugly 43-20 loss at Dallas. Saw them lose Stafford to a thumb injury. McVay says it's a UCL sprain in his thumb. He's considered day-to-day. They haven't ruled him out, but Brett Rippon is the backup, and they just signed Wolford. Played for the squad, won the Super Bowl with the squad off the Buccaneers practice roster. So that makes me think that there's a really high chance that he does not play here. The fact that they picked up Wolford. Stafford was 13-22 for 162 yards, touchdown and a pick before getting hurt late in the third quarter. Rippon came in 5-10, 42 yards. Royce Freeman ran 9 times for 44 yards and a touchdown, and Darrell Henderson 12 for 31, caught 3 for 54. Cooper Kupp was held to 4 catches for 21 yards. They couldn't get any pressure on Dak. Aaron Donald had 2 of the Rams' 3 sacks. All of those sacks came in the first quarter. Once that first quarter was through, it was just, I stopped caring about whether or not I was going to cash the under. The secondary looked awful. They allowed Dak to throw for 304 yards and 4 touchdowns. They did hold the Cowboys 2 of 4 in the red zone. The Rams are 17th in the league, holding opponents to TDs on 53.9% of red zone drives. They were without right tackle Rob Havenstein, who's got a calf injury. And Puka Nacua showed up on the injury report again with a knee injury today. Packers coming off their 4th straight loss, ugly 24-10 setback at home to the Vikings. They've been horrific in the first half lately. So bad. They've been outscored 73-9 in the first half of their past 5 games. Haven't scored a touchdown in the first half in any of them. 5 minutes left second quarter. They had 0 first downs. They'd allowed 13 first downs. They picked up 26 total yards while the Vikings had 182. They didn't get a first down until their 5th series. Jordan Love, 24-41, 229 yards, touchdown and pick. Jaden Reed led receivers for 4 catches for 83 yards. And they're getting nothing out of their ground game. That's the biggest surprise here. Aaron Jones, A.J. Dillon are doing nothing. They combined for 13 carries for 40 yards. The Packers were 1 of 4 in the red zone. They're so bad. They're 26th in the league. The defense couldn't get the Vikings off the field. Vikings held on the ball for 36 minutes and 22 seconds. The Vikings were 10 of 18 on third down. Green Bay 17th in the league there. Preston Smith was strong on the pass rush. He had 5 tackles, 2 sacks, 4 quarterback hits, but nobody else was doing anything. No one else was providing any pressure at all. Take it away for us here, Troy. Rams, Packers at Lambeau.
God, this game looks so ugly to me. Packers are completely broken. First 3 possessions of the game, they didn't like you said, they couldn't get a damn first down. And whenever they did get a first down, they got called back because of a penalty. It's the most penalized team in the NFL, 32nd in penalties per play, penalties per game, and penalty yards per game. Jordan Love had just a 16.9 QBR. But I mean, to be honest, I've seen a lot of drop passes from the receivers. They couldn't execute in the red zone, despite even though they did have a drop for a clear touchdown in the fourth quarter. Defensively, the Packers have been solid, and it's just been kind of underwhelming because the offense has been so damn bad. Laying -3 with the Packers just looks like a damn death sentence at this point. Plus, this game fits my trend that is pretty current throughout this week. The 3-point favorite versus the trends say take the dog based on the database. But let's look at the Rams team, right? PFF got this team as a 27th graded defense. Stafford headed to the IR. That's the heart and soul of this team. They would definitely not be.
Is he on the IR?
Oh, no. I have a note that he was headed to the IR. I thought he would be. Okay. I know things have changed since then.
Okay.
I know things
have
changed since then.
I thought maybe
No, you didn't miss it. You didn't miss it. You're right. I doubt he's heading to the IR at this point, but I still think that he's not going to be available for this game, but we shall see. But he's the main reason they've been competitive. And even if he's beat up in this spot, the spread right now alone at -3 is telling us he's not going to be playing this game. They wouldn't be hanging a 3 on Tuesday night, I don't think. And if we still see that tomorrow, then I think it's certain that he's not playing. And I think the replacement, Brett Rippon, we should be expecting him to take the helm. And in 3 years with Denver, he never had a PFF grade above a 45. And you put him behind this terrible pass blocking offensive line, which is 30th. It just smells like a disaster waiting to happen. The only way I could look at this game, I can't come to a side. I really don't have a side. I guess I would take the Rams plus the points, but I will definitely not be I won't have any money on this game.
It feels, I just got shanked with an under in the Rams, but how's either team going to score any points here? I don't see how this is just going to be a real boring game. The only question is, would you want to wait just in case Stafford plays? Because if he does play, you might get an extra point or two, and I'd still want to go under. I'd even feel probably more comfortable with the under because at least there'd be some first downs for the Rams. That was part of the mistake against the Cowboys, was I thought at least the Rams will have long drives and struggle in the red zone.
Exactly. Well, once the defensive score happened, I knew it was over immediately. And that was first quarter, so it was pretty early. I was like, well, those are 2 losses on my record.
Well, the fact that Pinnacle's just climbed it at 39 is, will give me pause. I will need to figure out, why I feel that happened. But this opened up, Sunday night at 42 at Bet Online, and within an hour dropped a point to 41. And then this morning dropped 1.5 to 39.5. I don't want to be sitting here at this number. I don't want to be sitting here at this number, but I certainly have interest in the under. What do you make of this Packers running game? Are we just going to sit back and expect them to have one of the worst running attacks in the league with Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon? 2 running backs that are so different from each other, harkens back to, thunder and lightning of the Giants. I mean, are we just going to expect them to be trash game in and game out? Because that's going to change the way I cap. And that's clearly been the case of late. What do you make of Aaron Jones and what you've seen of him this year?
I don't know if I would put the blame on Aaron Jones. I think I put the blame on just lack of offensive execution in general, because the run game looks as bad as the pass game. I think offensively, it's just been a complete shit show. And I'm surprised to say this because I thought he was such a great coach, but I just think offensive play calling has been a little bit lackluster as well. It's just not an offense that I'm excited about, especially the penalties, man. The penalties are a real deal, man. They're behind the marker. And people don't realize how important, how big of a difference it is. 3rd and 4 to 3rd and 8. Like, that's just a monumental difference.
Well, I'm looking at the under. I'm not going to take it at this number when it's so low now that Pinnacle's juiced it 10 cents to the over since it got to this number. So it's certainly not a bet I'm going to make tonight. But to think that this Rams-Packers game is such a bum fight is very surprising. DG looking at the first half under, and Andrew G took the full game under. I'm interested in it. I'm interested in it, but it's certainly not a bet I'm going to make tonight. We are getting close to action, and I have made 5 bets on the card, so I know I'm my process here is to listen to you and to listen to the chat and just sort of set up the table for everybody. That seems to be what's worked best for me over the last few years. And let's move on. 1 p.m. Eastern. Washington Commanders 3-5, 2-2 on the road at New England Patriots 2-6, 1-3 at home at Gillette Stadium in Foxborough, Massachusetts. 60 Fahrenheit, partly cloudy, 8 miles per hour. So the Commanders were big in the trade deadline today, jettisoning Montez Sweat and, of course, Chase Young. Now, we knew that Chase Young was on the out, so they didn't, they could have signed him in the offseason. He wanted some cash. They didn't give him anything. And when the Denver Broncos cut Randy Gregory, their defense stepped up. It's something that you send a message to everybody. So just the fact that these two guys are gone, in no way for me does that make me think this defense is just going to give up or not care. So I'm still very interested in the Commanders here. But let's talk about the line history and the situation here. Jacqueline, thank you for joining us. Happy Halloween. Great to see you. So we have a total right now at 41. Sitting at 41. Most books have 40.5. This has gone up from 40 at Pinnacle, from 40 to 41. Then let's go over to the spread. Just did the total. Let's go over to the spread. So it's gone from 40 to 41. And on the spread, we're sitting here with New England at 3.5 or a juice 3. Why? Why would they be this big of a favorite? I don't get it. I don't understand why they would. And I don't care. I really don't care that Commanders cut underachieving high-profile names from their team. On the spread right now, 44% of the tickets, 67% of cash are on the Commanders. On the total, 73% of the tickets, 83% cash are on the under, and yeah, it's going over. The Commanders coming off their 5th loss in 6 games, a 38-31 setback at the Eagles. The offense looked electric. It looked so good. Sam Howell, 39-52 for 397 yards, 4 touchdowns in the pick. Dotson caught 8 for 108 a touchdown. Crowder caught 7 for 95 touchdown. Curtis Samuel hurt his toe. He's day-to-day, listed as questionable. Brian Robinson Jr. ran 10 times for 59 yards, caught 2 for 20. They were 7 of 12 on third down. That's been an area of struggle for them this year. They're ranked 30th in the league, converting third downs just 33% of the time. They were 2 of 2 in the red zone. They've been very good in the red zone this year, 8th in the league, scoring touchdowns 61.5% of their drives. If only the defense could get stops. So Cody Barton missed his first game of the season. He was put on IR last week, and it hurt them badly. Badly. Crucial piece to 60 tackles in the first 6 weeks of the year. They could not apply pressure on Jalen Hurts. 2 sacks, 4 quarterback hits. They allowed the Eagles to go 8 of 13 on third down. They're 22nd in the league, allowing opponents to convert 41.1% of third downs. The Eagles went 3 of 5 in the red zone. The Commanders' red zone defense isn't bad. They're 12th in the league. Patriots coming off 31-17 loss at Miami. Mac Jones had another subpar effort, 19 of 29 for 161 yards, 2 touchdowns in the pick. The playmakers were nowhere to be found. I mean, Kendrick Bourne led receivers with 3 catches for 36 yards and touchdown before leaving in the fourth quarter. He's a torn ACL. He's done for the season. Ramondre Stevenson, Zeke Elliott combined for 17 carries for 75 yards. The defense does not look good. They pick up J.C. Jackson to replace Christian Gonzalez, sure, but they can't replace Matt Judon. The pass rush managed 2 sacks and 2 quarterback hits. Kyle Duggar's doing everything he can, but it's not going to be enough. He had 9 tackles, a sack, and a pick. They're very good in the red zone, both offensively and defensively. And coaching can only do so much. The Belichick taking all this heat. I think he's getting a lot out of this bad roster. No, he is part of the reason why they have a bad roster. I mean, these are a lot of his decisions that he's got to deal with. But they also have Devontae Parker in concussion protocol. This wide receiver group that's been so bad now won't have Kendrick Bourne or Devontae Parker, most likely. Take it away for us here, Troy. Commanders at Patriots.
Yeah, this is an interesting one to me. I hear people talk about all the time in this industry. There's no such thing as trap games in sports betting, but if there is a trap game, this is definitely it, because that 3 and the hook for the Commanders on the road just looks so damn enticing to take. And to me, it's apparently trying to trap action on the Commanders, because we know the Commanders is going to be the sharp side in this game. Probably with massive splits, it'll probably remain that way throughout the entire week. But we're still going to get that 3.5. I mean, that just blows my mind. So just by in that line of thinking, it's really like the Patriots are the only way I can look in this game. To me, nobody's sharper than the books. The Patriots got a little bit healthier over the past few weeks offensively, seem to be a little bit more competitive on that side of the ball. At home, they've only had really one bad performance where, they just laid an egg against the Saints. And the Commanders coming off a closely contested game in Philly. And if you look at when the Commanders follow up after they play Philly, it's not pretty. They do not fare well. And they have not performed well coming off, young QBs don't fare well in Foxborough. I think they're 5 and, I know this is what Tom, this dates back to the Tom Brady days, but 31-5 ATS against rookie quarterbacks or first year quarterbacks, which he hasn't had a full season of work yet, Sam Howell. And the Commanders are trading all their defensive pieces. So to me on the side, it's just a one-way train. But what I do have is I'm starting to lean a little bit more towards the under in this game, which I don't know about yet, but I was just looking through the database, and totals that close between 40 and 42 after a move to the over at Pinnacle. As long as it don't hit that 42 number. 42 is the key one, in my opinion, before this trend gets a little bit more dirty, but it's still profitable. But totals that close between 40 and 42 after a move to the over are 17 and 7. That's 71% to the under.
Well, the Sky Dragon loving that under, by the way, says thinks it gets to 41 because the trade's Washington made today, and at that point he'll play it among his favorite plays of the week, even if 41 never shows. Birdie says not a chance that Washington is the sharp side here. Well, that's what everybody's going to think. Everybody. So does this get to 4? I'm going to move on the Commanders at some point. I do not. I think that they sent a message getting rid of Sweat and Chase Young. Chase Young's been trash this year. The defense was better before he started playing this season. So I think this is the perfect backstory for me that everybody's going to talk about all week. Commanders are giving up. And I'm going to back them here. I'm not going to back them yet. The whole world's going to be on the Patriots and talking about this all week, I believe. We'll see.
Really?
So,
I think, I just am thinking about my buddies and stuff who would probably want to take the Commanders on this line, after how shitty the Patriots have been this year. Or maybe they're just scarred like me because they followed me on some of the Patriots bets from earlier in the season. But I don't know. It's definitely an interesting. What do you think about the under?
I need to sit with this a little longer, total wise. I need to sit with what's going on at practice. What does that front group look like without Sweat and Young out there? What are they saying to the press? I just need to kind of sit with that before I have an idea of what the Commanders' defense is going to do. But I'm not going to. You send a message to everybody on the team, and I think that helps at times. I don't think this is completely giving up. I really don't. I really don't think this is. Oh, look, I mean, I'm not saying they're going to make the playoffs or anything like that. I mean, they're obviously looking to the future, but I see a group that can come together. I mean, do you think Chase Young was great in the locker room? I mean, it's hard to imagine that he is.
No,
it's hard,
Yeah, so, just based on his comments, I could tell he wouldn't be a guy I would want to. I wouldn't be looking forward to having in the locker room as a coach.
No, Saturated said Sweat was beloved in that locker room. Maybe that's it.
I'm not sure about him. I'm thinking Chase Young and his impact. That's probably a addition by subtraction because he wasn't grading out very well this season. To me, based on his expectations, well underperformed.
And Al Silver says people were tweeting about Sweat. So look, I'm going to sit with this longer, but I don't think this is necessarily. Look, their defense without Sweat and Chase Young is going to be worse for the rest of the season. That's an easy thing to say, but that doesn't mean it's going to be worse game one. That's all I'm saying. And I'm very interested in backing the Commanders here, but this could be a 4. I also want to see where the ticket count is and if people start hammering the Patriots. Sky Dragon says trust the matchups with the defenses under. And Al Cervic says they cry early in the week. Game time, it's your job. Says next man up, it's your chance. Jared TG says Washington's heading towards the tank. All of this has made me start moving towards going to possibly being bullish on the Commanders this weekend. I'm certainly not going to do it now. I certainly want to sit with it and talk about it, and we'll get to talk about it again on Thursday's Cappers contest. I would like to see where the line goes.
I can't even believe this. This is crazy. This is crazy. Patriots at home past 2 years. See, Birdie, is this 8-0 trend? Does this mean anything to you? Patriots at home. The way the market has moved has been incorrect every single time. The way the spread moved. So if the spread moved towards the Patriots, it's been wrong. If it moved towards the Commanders, it's been wrong. So right now, the spread moving towards the Patriots, 8-0. That's pretty crazy.
Well, I'm very interested in North End says Pats never get public love. Maybe they will now because the story of the Commanders giving up is going to be big. I'm very interested in the Commanders.
So, Jimmy, one thing I actually thought about that. I thought about that during this game, the public sentiment. And a lot of people play fantasy, and they don't know who Chase Young or Montez Sweat even is. Maybe Chase Young. I feel like Montez Sweat, I just feel like they won't be as savvy to really be following that type of information. I don't know. It goes both ways. I hear you, though. I definitely see your case for the Patriots getting some public love here.
I just think the rhetoric of them giving up,
selling the bag, yeah,
will be big.
We'll give you a nice juicy line to come in and swoop up at a 4.
Oh,
because I mean under 3 I would be on the Patriots, but over 3 there's no way I'm back in the Patriots. No way.
Well, I find this game very, very interesting, but I need to sit with this group now that they're moving forward with in their front 7. I need to sit with it, stare at it, because look, what's the biggest loss of these 3? Cody Barton. That's the biggest loss. So, and he's hurt, right? He went IR. So we'll be talking about this game throughout the week. Let's move on. 1 p.m. Eastern. Chicago Bears at New Orleans Saints. We're at Caesars Superdome in Louisiana. Bears 2-6, 1-3 on the road. Saints 4-4, 1-2 at home. Take a look at the line history here for this one. And the Saints, it's just the line's growing and growing. I have a 7.5 right now. It's only moved 5 cents since Pinnacle dropped it, but Bet Online started this at 5.5. The look aheads weren't at this number. From a total standpoint here, we have it sitting at 41 at a pick'em. That's exactly where it opened. It has not moved, not 1 cent, not 1 cent. From a cash flow standpoint here, we have 31% of the tickets and 66% of the cash on the Bears. We have 49% of the tickets, 65% of the cash on the under. Bears on a short week after a very ugly 30-13 loss to the Chargers. Bagent had a much more difficult time in the second start, 25-37, 232 yards. His passer rating dropped from 97.2 down to 62. And now he gets a true road start. That wasn't even a real road start. Field's still week to week. So Eberflus did say that Bagent will make his 3rd career start here. Cole Kmet caught 10 for 79. DJ Moore 4 for 55. Running game struggled. Deonta Foreman 7. Deonta Foreman and Rashawn Johnson combined to run the ball 15 times for 55 yards. The Bears could establish no pressure whatsoever on Herbert. 0 sacks, 2 quarterback hits, and maybe Montez Sweat changes that. The defense allowed the Bolts to go 7-13 on 3rd down. Chicago's defense 31st in the league, allowing opponents to convert 48.5% of 3rd downs. Chargers went 2 of 2 in the red zone. Bears defense last in the league, allowing touchdowns on 78.3% of opponents' red zone opportunities. Tremaine Edwards went down with a knee injury. Linebacker during the 3rd quarter did not return he wasn't on the injury report, but we'll see what the Wednesday one says. And Jaquan Brisker is expected to be back after missing last week with an illness. Saints coming off a 38-27 win at Indianapolis. They put up 511 yards. Derek Carr, 19-27, 310 yards, 2 touchdowns. He did lose a fumble. It's amazing, Derek Carr. I mean, it's just, in some lights, he looks so good. In some others, he looks absolutely feeble. Shaheed caught 3 passes for 153 yards and a touchdown. Kamara ran 17 times for 59 yards, touchdown. Caught 4 for 51, touchdown. 6 of 12 on third down. This has been a point of weakness for the offense. They're 20th in the league, converting third downs 35.8% of the time. They went 3 of 4 in the red zone. Another point of weakness. They ranked 26th in scoring touchdowns on just 42.9% of the drives. So is this the Saints offense figuring themselves out? Or are the Colts terrible? Or is the Colts defense just an abomination? Because their offense isn't bad, but their defense, like, what do we take from that game that we just saw? The Saints sacked Minshew twice, hit him 7 times. The Debo had a pick, and there was a sickness running through the Saints locker room all week. So they had a bunch of players out, and these guys are just licking their chops at the opportunity to get after Tyson Bagent. Because this defense, top 10 in NFL scoring defense, 9th in the league. Their third down defense is 2nd in the league, 32.4%. The passer rating allowed is 2nd in the league. 9 interceptions this season. Remember, last year they only had 7 all year. So Marcus May dealing with a hamstring injury. He re-injured it 2 weeks ago in the Thursday night loss to the Jaguars. He's still out, but he's day-to-day, not on IR. James Hurst was inactive. He's got an ankle injury. Both guys could be back this week. Take it away for us here. Should the Saints be this big of a favorite to anybody? Anybody. Take it away, Troy.
That's what I'm trying to figure out. I don't have many notes on this game because that 7 is simply way too rich. And the big question I try to figure out is, like, I feel like the Bears are going to struggle versus competent or highly competent offenses because they can't defend. I just don't know what to expect. That question's a legitimate question. What did we just see in that Colts Saints game? Because both offenses put up some numbers, and that -7, I just can't get over the fact that it's over at the 7. I think it shows a lot of strength towards the Saints. But I think, the Bears taking that loss on prime time, I mean, you're going to see a lot of the public fading the Bears as well. So it kind of makes sense. But I still think that this defense for the Saints could be still slightly overrated. They did give up 20-plus points in 3 consecutive games versus offenses where only one of them grade out as above average per PFF. And, Bagent's a rookie. He's a work in process. You cannot trust him on the road. You cannot trust him in general. Even after one good game against the Raiders, after we know that that's not a good defense at all. It's nothing like the Saints. So I was hoping Fields would be back in this game. I mean, if they're laying over 7 with a Fields at quarterback, I would definitely be looking towards the Bears, but I have nothing.
I think the Tyson's going to get destroyed. I think it's going to be just such a rude awakening for him.
I could see that happen.
I don't want the Saints at this number, but I'm starting to talk myself into it, honestly. It just seems like a bad bet, but and then you can't trust the Bears defense. So maybe if you could trust the Bears defense, well, then the under would be in play, but I can't do that. So, honestly, I was thinking about what was going to happen to Agent Bagent in a real road game, and in the Superdome, it's a real road game, and I was like, oh God, he's going to get eaten alive. But the Saints are not a good football team, and I think they probably cover this. They probably win this game by more than a touchdown, but it's so public. And that was the problem when I first looked at this card this week, was like all of the spots that I was interested were so public, and that's why I had to stop.
So is this a survivor candidate for you?
I think that I would much rather have the Browns at home. But yes, it was between these 2 spots. But I think the Browns are. I've seen them at home be very tough to play. I've never seen the Saints be very tough to play this year. Not one time. I just think that Tyson's about to get rocked. And that makes me interested in the Saints, honestly. I mean, I probably should have got a 7 or less, but
Here you go, Jimmy. Play it on a teaser.
no, I don't. I like to keep my shit clean. Ron Crawford said Saints by 11.
You don't drink tequila either. You don't cross reference that. You don't mix it up.
Oh man, I hammer tech. You kidding me?
Yeah,
I destroy
tech.
You don't.
Hey, Palooza, I got a couple shots earmarked for you and I with some fucking Casamigos.
Oh, when it comes to boozing, I can play. All right, Bears, Saints. I want the Saints.
I can play.
I want the Saints, man. But it's just so public and it's just when I like a spot that's this public, I'd almost prefer just staying off and watching it. But I think Big Ten gets smoked. I think the crowd's going to go bananas. The Saints are 4-4. I mean, they're still in range.
They're still in range, and I agree with that 100%. I mean, I thought I would have a Saints teaser by now, but I think I want to see what's going on with Justin Fields before, because I think if he was in, do you think he's out for sure?
Yes, Eberflus said on Monday, he said Bagent's making his third career start. I guess I just bet the Saints. Just let go and just bet them. I guess. All right. Wow. I can't believe I'm talking myself into it. Okay, let's move on to the next spot on the board. 1 p.m. Eastern. Seattle Seahawks 5-2, 2-1 on the road. Baltimore Ravens 6-2, 2-1 at home. M&T Bank Stadium. Baltimore, Maryland, 66 Fahrenheit, partly cloudy, 9 miles per hour. These Seahawks are now leading the NFC West. They're playing tough football teams. They're playing them well. Look at some of these games they've had this year on the road. I mean, it all started when they beat the Lions after losing to the Rams, making a statement that they were the real deal. And their stats are so tricky to break down and to quantify, and we'll go over them here because some of them are just not nonsense, but I mean, their red zone defense that was allowing 90% of red zone drives score touchdowns was how I watched this team play, and I don't see them looking that horrific in their red zone defense. But let's discuss this spot here right now. We have the total at 43.5. All the other books are at 43. This is at 43.5, and it's only moved 5 cents to the under. So they're in no rush to move this down to 43 over at Pinnacle. From a point spread standpoint here, we have it sitting at 5.5 for Baltimore. This opened up at 5.5. It moved to 6, and it's come back to 5.5. I think that's too many points. And, I've had a feeling that the Ravens would kind of play irresponsible football against the Cardinals, but I still was afraid to bet it. I don't see the Seahawks coming to town as being this major motivator. It's not like a divisional game for the Ravens. 45% of tickets, 61% of cash on the Seahawks. Then you
Ravens versus non-conference have been every bit of legitimate.
Well, they're just a real legitimate football team. I mean, these are two good football teams. I mean, there's a reason why the Ravens are this big of a favorite. 48% of tickets, 61% cash on the under. So some sharp money on the under, but Pinnacle, no rush to move it down to 43. Seahawks coming off a huge 24-20 home win over the Browns, put them a half game up with Niners. Geno, 23 of 37 for 254 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 picks. Tyler Lockett caught 8 for 81, a touchdown. DK Metcalf caught 5 passes for 67 yards, but it was springing Jackson Najigba with that block. When you start seeing, you start realizing these guys are all buying in, all believing. And he was like a superstar after he blocked that block. Everybody on the team talked about it nonstop. They were 3 of 5 in the red zone. They've been struggling there of late. So over the last 3 weeks, they're converting just 38.5% of those opportunities. So that's dropping. The defense was strong throughout. 3 sacks, 10 quarterback hits. Woolen and Julian Love had interceptions. Held the Browns to 2 of 4 in the red zone. They were last in the NFL in red zone defense for the first 4 weeks of the season. 90%. I said that off the top. They have improved over the last 3 weeks. They're holding teams to touchdowns on 57.14% of the red zone drives. So they're still 29th in the league, allowing opponents to convert 73.3% of red zone opportunities. Ravens coming off a 34-27 victory at Arizona. Lamar 18-27, 157 yards and a touchdown, ran 5 times for 17 yards. I don't think we should put too much into it. They just didn't care that much and just, went in, got the job done, and left without too many injuries. Gus Edwards ran 19 times for 80 yards, 3 touchdowns. Mark Andrews continued to look better and better. 4 catches for 40 yards and touchdown. It wasn't a great day for him, but he's been looking better. The offense only put up 268 yards, but they went 4-4 in the red zone. Their red zone offense is 3rd in the league, scoring touchdowns, 67.7% of opportunities. They were outgained by the Cards 310-268, and the Cards went 3 for 3 in the red zone against the Ravens, where they're amazing. They're 3rd in red zone offense. They're 3rd in red zone defense. And Marcus Williams missed the last 2 games with a hamstring injury. He's listed as questionable to go this week, but the Ravens are the real deal. And that's why you can get the Bengals at plus 350 or 400 to win the division. I just think it's too many points. That's all. I just think it's too many points. But I don't know if I'm going to get to the window. Take it away for us here, Troy. Seahawks, Ravens.
I stand by what I said. I know a lot of people see the Seahawks a lot different than what I do, but I see them as an average team at the very best. They're definitely lucky to win and cover versus the Browns. They've had the easiest schedule in the NFL by a wide margin, by a couple points, which is a wide margin. Go look at who they've beaten, and you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. And that includes P.J. Walker and the Browns. That's their best win so far this season, in my opinion. The Lions was a really tough spot for the Lions. I guess you can give them some credit for that. But the Ravens have had a quite soft schedule as well. But they've been performing in line with their preseason expectations, 100%. This is where a lot of people, a lot of cappers, and a lot of models expected to see the Ravens. The Seahawks were power rated in the bottom half of the league. And I think this spread reflects exactly that. We see the Ravens meeting their expectations, the Seahawks over their expectations. And I think that this spread at 5.5 tells me the story. I mean, what happens when Geno Smith and the Seahawks run into a good defense? The Bengals, the Browns, 2 interceptions in both those games for Geno Smith. I mean, if you know me, you know I'm willing to admit when I'm wrong. I'm not ready to admit I was wrong about this Seahawks team yet, but I'm there with the Ravens team. I think I've seen enough. I don't want to jump the gun early in the season, but Lamar Jackson's numbers resemble his MVP season. Career high in completion rate, yards per attempt, and his highest PFF passer grade so far. I had this number at 6.5, 6.59, so I see value. And like you said, the red zone dichotomy is where the value came in on the model, with the Ravens being good offensively and defensively, and the Seahawks being well below average overall in the red zone. So I have the Ravens it's not a teaser, it's a money line parlay that I mentioned earlier. And I'm really considering this Ravens spread. I don't like it at the 5.5. I was hoping I could get a 4, maybe a 3.5, but shit, the bookies think it's 5.5. I'm surprised to see it. And I think Mac Beaver pointed out probably the most important thing, which is why I haven't moved on the spread yet. And that's that they have the Browns on deck. The Ravens have the Browns next week. And if you look back and you see how the Ravens have performed before that game, and to your point, Jimmy, like, are they going to get up for this game, this non-divisional opponent, like when they got the Browns on deck? And they haven't performed well in the past prior to playing the Browns. This year, they lost to the Indianapolis Colts. Last year, they lost to whoever it was. They don't win those games, but I'm trying to buck the trend at that point. So yeah, I'm on the Ravens.
Yeah, Ravens is part of your money line parlay. That's with the Falcons. Is that right?
Yep.
Falcons, Ravens.
Falcons, Ravens.
Yeah, I'm not going to move on this tonight. I just, when they played the Lions at home, the market was screaming that they were going to trash the Lions. Maybe not, to the extent that they did. But here, I feel like it's, you just played Arizona. I just feel like it's the doldrums of the schedule where they're not. I don't see them getting that up, and you need to get up to beat the Seahawks by margin.
And I can see the Ravens holding up in the red zone and the Ravens scoring in the red zone, and in the model, that's what got it up to the 6.5.
Yes, no doubt. And you talked about the extreme difference of the 2 red zone, especially defense. I mean, then it's perfect.
Look at that's a red zone. Their red zone ratings versus who? I mean, they were successful in the red zone against the Browns. This is the Cardinals, the Giants, the Panthers. I mean, come on.
Well, I comfortably talked off of the spot, and that's fine. I also think that the total is really sharp. I don't feel like I have an edge here. Al Cervix says when Lamar plays NFC teams, they don't see him often. He destroys.
I don't have the numbers on that, but he's exactly right. That's a note that I have on mine as well. And I know I went through it. I didn't look up the spreads in those games, but I know that they definitely covered those spreads.
All right. Well, I can stay off of it at this point. Let's move on. 1 p.m. Eastern, Tampa Bay Buccaneers 3-4, 2-1 on the road at the Houston Texans, 3-4, 2-1 at Homer Energy Stadium in Houston, Texas. Thank you guys all for joining us here on Bankroll Blitz Pub Sports Radio with Troy Torrence, myself. Buccaneers coming off extra rest after their third straight loss, 24-18 at Buffalo in last week's Thursday nighter. So often the balls don't bounce your way in capping, and they did in that Buccaneers Bills game, and I was, I'm sitting there in shock that something goes my way. I think that the score flattered the Buccaneers, and as much as you say that, they were still Chris Godwin turning around a little bit earlier from winning that football game. I know it's crazy to say that because they were completely outplayed and it shouldn't have happened, shouldn't have come down to that spot. But the more I sat with it, I mean, that's how close they were to. They could have, if he turned around 2 seconds earlier, they win that football game, which is nuts. And it certainly doesn't tell the story of the statistical breakdown of that game. Houston opening up at -2.5, -114. They're now -2.5 at -117. They were up to -2.5 at -128 this afternoon. So they were at a 3. They're still, you still could turn it into a 3 pretty easily. But a juice 2.5 at this point. From a total perspective here, we have this sitting at 40.5 at Pinnacle. This opened up at 38.5. It's gone up 2 points to 40.5. An interesting move to the over here. And from a cash flow look, we have it's pretty 50-50-ish. 47% of the tickets, 56% of the cash on the Texans, 29% of the tickets, 41% cash on the under. And it's gone up 2 points. Buccaneers come in off extra rest. They score flattered them. The Bucs are such a funny team to cap. They simultaneously have the best red zone defense in the league and the worst third down defense in the league. I imagine that's never happened before. Really? I mean, how could that possibly happen? It makes no sense. But basically what it's saying is that they bend and they don't break.
The perfect example of a bend but don't break.
Yeah. And they step up in the key moments because they got that veteran talent. But that's just absolutely nuts that, the last and third down defense, best in red zone defense. Their offense is very pedestrian, extremely predictable. Against the Bills, Mayfield was decent, 25-42, 237 yards, 2 touchdowns, no picks. He's been a little better than I think all of us expected him to be this year. He struggles throwing deep, even though he has the perfect wide receivers for it, and Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. Rashad White led the Bucs in receiving. I mean, because Mayfield's just the check down king. 7 catches for 70 yards. Defensively, they were strong against the Bills. They didn't get much pressure, 2 sacks, 3 quarterback hits. And the Bills, again, they put up 427 yards, but that red zone defense just steps up. It's unbelievable. Houston comes in off a disappointing 15-13 loss to previously winless Carolina. Great call. A lot of you guys were on Carolina. You were, Troy. Excellent work. The Texans only had 229 yards of offense. They had just one play longer than 20 yards against the Panther defense that's being annihilated. 84 points. They'd allowed 12 touchdowns in their 2 previous games. C.J. Stroud struggled mightily, 16-24, 140 yards. Noah Brown led receivers 3 catches for 57 yards. Damian Pierce had 12 carries for 46 yards. He still just not had that breakout game that everybody's waiting for. They were 5 for 12 on third down. They've been good in that role all year, ranking 7th in the league, converting 44% of third downs. 2 of 2 in the red zone. They struggle there, 25th in the league. The defense did its best to keep them in it. They put pressure on Bryce Young all day, sacked him 6 times, hit him 10 times, held the Panthers to 224 yards, held them to just 5 of 14 on third down, 1 of 4 in the red zone. And they're 27th in third down defense, 7th in red zone defense. Here's the problem. Jarrett Patterson, their rookie center, was carted off the field midway through the 4th with a lower leg injury. D'Amico Ryan says he's going to be out for some time. He left in a walking boot. So they have a real problem here. He wasn't supposed to be their starting center this year, but they could activate Juice Scruggs from the injured reserve. Ryan says that D'Amico has not been updated on the status. So that means that I doubt that that's close. He's been on injured reserve since a hamstring injury during the preseason. So when Patterson came into training camp, he was the third string center. But injuries to Scruggs, injuries to Squat Quisenberry, Patterson forced in the lineup. And Patterson's been really good. Overall grade is 60.1. One of two offensive linemen who's not given up a sack all year. The other's Titus Howard. Sheldon Rankins continues to deal with a knee injury. So I want to expect the Texans to bounce back. But how are they going to bounce back without a competent center? Take it away, Troy. The floor, and they fell apart when Patterson left. I mean, they could do nothing. Absolutely nothing. Take it away, Troy. Buccaneers, Texans.
Last week, I backed the Panthers and I faded the Texans, and it was a thing of beauty. Panthers +3, +3.5, had them in the contest. I mean, in my opinion, it was only a matter of time before we've seen some regression from the Texans. Opponents are definitely adjusting to Stroud exactly how they adjusted to the Baker Mayfield and this Bucs offense. How did they do that? They leveraged their defense towards the middle of the field. Stroud is significantly worse outside of the hashes and very, very efficient over the middle of the field. They're facing third down and longs too. Like you see these Texans get behind the line of scrimmage, the yards, right? They're getting second, third, and long situations. They've been terrible on first and second down. And in my opinion, Stroud still owes us some turnovers. Worst poor pass rate in the NFL, and that still remains to be true. Bucs are coming off an L3, fifth strongest schedule year to date in the NFL, and Houston is on the exact opposite side of that spectrum at 27th. I had this line at a pick'em, -1 based on the home field. Very close teams for me statistically. Getting the +3 with the Bucs is just so much value. And I opened up my parameters here to appease Birdie. Oh, Birdie's killing me. He says, Troy, you're killing me. I wonder how's that so, Birdie? But I opened up this for Birdie, right? So home favorites of -3, total less than 42. We got a little bit bigger of a sample size for you here. The road team at +3 is 11-3 ATS on a teaser leg, 14-1, and the total is 9-6 to the under. So I'm on the Bucs +3. I already moved. I knew this was probably going to end up in the 2.5 to 2 region when it's all said and done. That's what I believe. So I had to grab the 3.
Yeah, if Patterson did not get hurt, I would expect Houston to bounce back. But why should I without him? Why should I? Imagine being a rookie quarterback and knowing that your rookie center is going to protect you every second you're out there and not allow one sack. I mean, that's huge. They were in unison, succeeding together. So, Troy, you got the Bucs +3 at what juice?
It was kind of juicy, I believe, when I took it. I got the Bucs +3 at -118.
Wow. I find that extremely interesting.
It's you can get a +115 now or actually +117 at Bet Rivers. So
I just wish the Texans had to look good last week, being up 15 points, then lost Patterson. Now I'm happy you cashed and made money off of it. I find this extremely appealing. Your Bucs spot here, extremely appealing. I'm gonna have to sit with it. I hate selling Houston low. I hate it. Again, this opened up with Houston -2.5, -114. They got up to -128 today at 1:10 p.m. And that's you. Oh, but that only lasted for 40 minutes until there was a 10-cent move back on the Bucs. Wow. I'm very, very interested in the Bucs. Very interested in the Bucs. Let's move on. Next up for us, we get into afternoon action. 4:05 p.m. Eastern, Indianapolis Colts, 3-5, 2-1 on the road to the Carolina Panthers, 1-6, 1-2 at home, Bank of America Stadium, Charlotte, North Carolina, 70 Fahrenheit, sunny, 6 miles per hour. Let's get into the line history here for this one. We are sitting with a 2.5 or 3, very similar to the game we just discussed. Carolina opened up +3 at -115. They're now +3 -123. So if you want the Colts -3, it's plus 109. I can understand the concern for anybody who would want to back the Colts after what we've seen defensively from them. It's been absolutely horrific. Absolutely horrific. Here we go. Sorry, it took a second there for my computer to catch up, going a little slow. Here we go. So let's get into the total then for this one. Sitting at 44 at a pick'em. It opened at 43.5. It got up to 45.5. So when this opened, it took a couple days and then it shot up 2 points. Now it's come back and it's gone back and forth, back and forth. Now we're sitting at a 44. And let's get into the cash flow for this one. And we have the Colts with 62% of tickets and 64% of cash. And then 71% of tickets, 83% cash on the under. So here we go. Colts come in off their third straight loss, 38-27, set back at home to the Saints. What has happened to this defense? I mean, there's pieces of this defense that I like. When Shaq Leonard and Kwity Paye missed the game and they had a really bad showing, then they came back and their defense was even worse. And that was the first sign that maybe I hadn't read this team right, because I'm on the over 6.5 wins. And I felt very good about it at one point. They've allowed 77 points over the last 2 games. They let the Saints put up 511 yards of offense. No pressure on Carr at all. 1 sack, hit him twice. And the Saints are 20th in the league in third down conversions. They went 6 of 12. They're 26th in the league in the red zone, but they went 3 of 4 against the Colts. Colts offense is playing pretty well. Minshew, 23 of 41 for 213 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 pick. Now he's been a turnover machine. He only turned it over once. Didn't fumble the ball last week. Josh Downs led receivers with 7 catches for 72 yards. Jonathan Taylor ran 12 times for 95 yards. Zach Moss, who was sick, ran 11 times for 66 yards and a touchdown. Zach Moss started the week 2nd in the NFL in rushing. And he missed the season opener. That's what Zach Moss has done this year. And now you have Jonathan Taylor too. Why are they so bad? What the hell is wrong with their defense? Now they're dealing with a bunch of injuries, but it still does not explain what's happened here. Right tackle Braden Smith's out. Cornerback Juju Brent's rookie out. Kylan Granson's in concussion protocol, but they have a deep tight end pool. Defensive end Eric Johnson II with an ankle injury, and defensive tackle Grover Stewart is suspended. I mean, that's not, it doesn't. Panthers coming off their first win of the season, 15-13 at home over the Texans. Sorry, just shot up there. The win kept Carolina from matching its worst start in franchise history back in 1998. They only put up 224 yards of offense, but it was enough. And Bryce Young delivered, his first game-winning drive of his career. They snapped a 56-game losing streak of games they trailed at any point in the fourth quarter. It's crazy. He finished 22 of 31 for 235 yards and a touchdown. He still isn't getting protected. He was sacked 6 times. Thielen caught 8 passes for 72 yards. They're so lucky they have Thielen out there. I mean, what a safety net for a young quarterback. Mingo caught 4 passes for 62 yards. But the Panthers could get nothing on the ground. Hubbard finished with 15 carries for 28 yards. 15 carries for 28 yards. Defense was strong throughout, but here's a similar situation that we just saw last 2 games with the Colts. They had allowed 84 points in their previous 2 games, but they came out of their bye. They looked much stronger. Texans only put up 229 yards, 2 sacks, 3 quarterback hits for the Panthers. They kept Stroud off balance. Now the Texans were 2-2 in the red zone. Panthers' red zone defense is abysmal. They allow touchdowns 76.9% of the time. And their third down defense is so strong. It's strange. 8th in the league, allowing conversions 35.4% of the time. They lose outside linebacker Justin Houston with a hamstring injury. It's not clear how long he's going to be out for. But when we talk about the Colts defense falling apart, I can't explain it with injuries. You can explain the Panthers. They lose Shaq Thompson for the year. He's their captain. They lose J.C. Horn, their great cornerback, who's out indefinitely. Jeremy Chin, was a defensive rookie of the year a couple of years back. He's been out indefinitely. Gross Metos is out indefinitely, a linebacker. Safety Von Bell, day-to-day with a quad injury. So you can explain that. But I can't explain the Colts. I don't know what the hell's going on over there. I don't know how in the world anybody would want them as a 3-point favorite on the road. But maybe they need to get outside, play better defense. I don't know. I don't know what the hell to say about them. What about you, Troy? Colts, Panthers.
Yeah, I got to go back and watch this Colts Saints game, and I didn't watch much of that game. I caught it for a couple plays on Sunday, but I haven't rewatched it like I've watched almost every other game. So I got to definitely do that. But I'm looking towards the Panthers at home. If they're still getting threes, I think there's still some threes available. I mean, I feel like there's just been a huge difference in this Panthers offense the past few weeks. Way more play action, switching up the packages and the personnel frequently. They motion guys on every single play, and they weren't doing that on nearly every play, and they weren't doing that at all before the offensive coordinator change. And they're playing with a much faster tempo, which is a complete change from what they were doing prior to the offensive coordinator change a few games ago. And, just plug this into the database while we start talking. I did have incomplete notes here because I haven't watched the game. But when home dog is between +2.5, +3.5, and the total is between 43 and 45, 13-5 to the under. And never before has Pinnacle ever moved the spot like this to the over. Every single occasion, it's always moved to the under. And if the home dog is exactly +3, it's 8-0 to the under. I mean, I bring this up not to say I'm on the under. I haven't moved on anything in this game. But I just feel like that's interesting to know that when you have a home dog in this range, it's 8-0 to the under when they're +3. It's just incredible to me to see stuff like that. So just want to bring it up. But yeah, I don't have anything in this game at this point.
I guess the situation here is to buy low on the Colts and sell high on the Panthers, just to dumb it all the way down. But
yeah, no, I agree. Colts off a loss. They're still contenders to some extent, and the Panthers definitely aren't. Colts have a better roster. I mean, I get where you're coming from. Just the home dogs at +3 is just, I'd have nothing on the side for sure. So I don't want to sway you.
Well, I don't want to get there, man. So I'm certainly not going to bet it tonight. What a garbage football game. But I love bum fights, and I have no problem finding angles in them. But I guess you just dumb it down to that. The Colts look really bad last couple games. They're 2-1 on the road this year. DG says 44 seems awfully high. I can't understand what the hell's going on with this defense. They got pieces of this defense that I've always liked, and now they're just abysmal. But we'll move on. But for an angle saying that Jarrett Patterson, the center for the Texans, is not there, and they got nobody to replace him. That's an angle where I'm like, I don't care. I'll sell Houston low, and that's what you've done, and I think I can get there. Here, I can't quite explain why I would buy the Colts low, even though it probably is the smartest way to do this. So, all right, let's move on at this point. Sorry, let's see. I could end up on the Colts. God, I hope not. Let's move on. Next stop for us is 4:25 p.m. Eastern. New York Giants 2-6, 1-3 on the road at Las Vegas Raiders. And I have
nothing on this game. Jesus Christ, I missed this game.
Well, no worries. I've got a lot.
Good.
And I feel like I'm trying to, I don't know, like I'm trying to get out of something I've done wrong, kind of thing. Like I feel like I'm gonna have to sell this, and I don't want to sit here and sell this to you guys. I don't want to come up with some great argument or anything like that, and I'm not going to try to do it. Allegiant Stadium in Las Vegas, Nevada. I've moved pretty heavy on this football game. For me, it will be the most that I have on a side at this point all season. So let's talk about the line situation here. It's at 37.5 is the total. It opened up at 38.5, so we have a 1 point drop to the under. From a side perspective here, this is sitting at 2.5 at -108. There were threes available at one point, but we cap a lot of sports, and it took me a little bit of time to kind of understand how I wanted to hammer this game. And I do want to hammer it, and I've hammered it. From a cash flow standpoint, we have 54% of the tickets and 69% of the cash on the New York Giants, and you have 88% of tickets and 86% of cash on the under. The Giants coming off an ugly 13-10 overtime loss at home to the Jets. What I saw from that game was a lot of positives. I know that the passing game was historically bad. Tommy DeVito, I felt bad for the kid. Tyrod Taylor left the second quarter with a rib injury. They finished with -9 net yards. That's the fewest in the game since the Browns had the same 23 years ago, -9 net yards. The Giants were 2 of 19 on third down. But what I saw from the players and what I saw from Dable was a group of men that are trying so hard and were able to compete with a decent New York Jets squad without a quarterback who could throw the ball. And Daniel Jones has been cleared to play full go at practice on tomorrow, and he'll be starting on Sunday. And I know you could say he's been terrible this year, and you would be right, and he's not worth $160 million, and that's all fair. Averaging 211.6 passing yards per game, 2 passing touchdowns, 6 picks. He's been awful. Giants are 1-4 in his starts. But I like it when a quarterback sits on the sidelines and watches. And I also like it when they watch somebody play well at times, like Tyrod has, and then when they watch someone futile and horrific, like DeVito was. I like when you just sit there and shut the fuck up and just watch what the hell's going on out there. And that's what he was doing. Saquon Barkley ran 36 times for 128 yards. He looks great. Thibodeau and Dexter Lawrence are monsters right now. My only qualms with the way those two guys are is that they're on the field too much, that there's no depth at that position, so they're playing way too many snaps and they're exhausted. They combined for 4 sacks and 8 quarterback hits. The Giants' defense is really improved. And the Jets aren't a good offense. And we'll talk about the Jets here in a second. They're obviously really bad. But, they held them to 2 of 15 on third down, 0-2 in the red zone. The Giants are ranked 17th in red zone defense, allowing touchdowns 53.9% of the time. They're now ranked 3rd in the league in third down defense. And that's legit. They're playing well, and they're stopping teams from converting. Teams are only converting 33.7% of the time. So Darren Waller, aggravated a hamstring injury. He's out. So now I don't want to sit here and say Andrew Thomas is going to be playing on Sunday. I've thought he was going to be back before, and he practiced last week. And sure, I would like him to be in the lineup. Evan Neal's out as well, but this team is getting healthier. And I think this is the best buy low spot in comparison to what's going on in Las Vegas. Because what's going on in Las Vegas is awful. The body language and the actions of Devontae Adams, Garoppolo just hanging his head low, a boy coach who just is in way over his head. Things are falling apart in Las Vegas. Falling apart. They come in off a short week. They put up 157 yards of offense against the Lions. Jimmy G was 10 of 21 for 126 yards and pick. Jacoby Myers, Devontae Adams each caught 1 pass. And Devontae Adams is wide open a bunch of times. Josh Jacobs ran 50 times for 61 yards, touchdown. He also led the Raiders in receiving 2 catches for 27 yards. That's how bad they were. The Raiders were 1-9 on third down. They're 25th in the league, converting 35% of third downs. They're 27th in the league, scoring touchdowns and 41.6% of red zone drives. Their defense does their best to keep the Raiders in it, and Marcus Peters had that big interception return, but they don't get any pressure on Goff. It's just because it's too much work for Max Crosby. He's the only guy on the offensive line has to worry about. Their defense 3rd worst in the league in the red zone, allowing touchdowns 73.9% of the time. Drives, and they're also 3rd worst on third down, allowing conversions to 45.6% of opportunities. The Giants team has not given up on Dable. They haven't given up on themselves. And Graham Gano, do you know what he's going through right now? He feels like he's lost the game for his football team. A bunch of guys they almost beat the Jets without a quarterback. So I think that the Giants go into Vegas and win. I think the Raiders' season continues to fall apart. And I've got the Giants on the money line and plus the 2.5 points. There you go. Take it away, Troy. I know that you didn't have this game set up, but what do you think?
the reason behind that is because the Raiders were playing last night, and I just never even documented this game on my note sheet here because they were, I still wanted the PFF ratings for today. So I just a few notes on this game, and I really like where you're sitting at, Jim. I just know this. One thing I do know is that Raiders, despite Max Crosby, this pass rush has not been getting home. They're third lowest or bottom 3 in the NFL in pass rush and pressure rate from the defensive line. I just feel like the Giants should be able to have success on the ground. Maybe I'll play this with a teaser. I have to do more work on this game, obviously, but I would be only looking towards the Giants for all the reasons you said. You drove a compelling argument. I'll probably end up on the Giants in some way, shape, or form.
Well, I can't fucking wait for this football game. And that's the fun. We cap these games. We put all this time and energy. Then we put the script together. And then we put our money where our goddamn mouth is. And I just want to be left alone in the dark with a bottle of booze for this football game. Just leave me the fuck alone, and I'm going to get this money. Let's move on. Next up for us, 4:25 p.m. Eastern, 62 Fahrenheit, partly cloudy in Philadelphia for Cowboys, Eagles, Lincoln Financial Field. And this spot here, we already heard from Sammy Culmer on the Dallas Cowboys. And I immediately have a vividness bias, immediately, of the Cowboys going into Philadelphia and getting hurt. Immediately want to bet Philadelphia. Last week, I made a statement, and it was probably ignorant, but I said that I gave the Eagles third down defense and red zone defense, and I was like, I don't believe these numbers. The Eagles are a much better defense than these numbers indicate. And then you'll hear people say things like, numbers don't lie, people lie, numbers don't lie, and all that stuff. And it was ignorant. The numbers are there for a reason. Now, I know that the Eagles have battled with injuries, but they're there for a reason. And I don't know what to do with them because I think I wanted the Eagles so bad the last 48 hours. I feel like I've seen this show before, and in this show, the Eagles step up at home and beat the Cowboys. But it was so public, and I just wanted to sit and talk it out with you guys. I didn't want to have all these public spots, and that was when I was looking at my card, other than the Giants. We'll see what that happens there. But I was, I wanted the Bengals, and I wanted the Eagles, and I was like, am I just really going to sit here and so I just wanted to talk it out before we do it. But I think that the Eagles are probably should be the favorite to win the Super Bowl. But I can't understand or quantify the defensive stats when I look at them. The Eagles open up -3 at -106. They're now -111. You add to the knee injury from Jalen Hurts and the knowledge that this is the game before their bye week. And then that, again, puts me back. Because if the Cowboys beat the Eagles here, I would not sit here thinking that the Eagles aren't going to win the division and the Eagles aren't going to roll to the NFC final. I would still believe all those things. So I don't know what to do with this goddamn football game. So now the Eagles are at -111. They got up to -115, but I was looking at the Eagles when they were -3 at +101. This opened at 3.5, so it'd be a half-point move towards the Cowboys. If we look at the two games that the teams just played, you know that you're going to be able to buy lower on Philadelphia and sell higher on the Cowboys. From a total perspective here, this is sitting at 46 and 46.5 at Pinnacle. This opened up at 46.5. There's been an 11-cent move towards the under, and there hadn't been. The Cowboys come in off an impressive, dominant 43-20 home win over the Rams. Their 11th straight win. Prescott looked very good, 25-31 for 304 yards, 4 touchdowns, 1 interception. But is the Rams defense now the Rams defense that we thought they were going to be before the year started? Should we put too much into this? CeeDee Lamb and Dak Prescott are best friends. Great. CeeDee Lamb caught 12 passes for 158 yards and 2 touchdowns. Do we trust Dak Prescott in the most important games to deliver? No. Brandon Cooks, Jake Ferguson had the other touchdown. So there's a Brandon Cooks sighting. Tony Pollard is not going to have an easy time being the RB1. He excelled when somebody could take pressure off him and he didn't have to run in between the hash marks. They went 6 of 12 on third down. They're third in the league, converting 48% of third downs. The only spot they struggle in is the red zone. Why? Because of Dak Prescott. They're 29th in the league. They score touchdowns on just 40.7% of red zone opportunities. You need to succeed in the red zone offensively if you're going to win the most important games. Defensively, the secondary and pass rush completely shut down the Rams. What can you say about what this squad has done without Trayvon Diggs? It's extremely impressive. Deron Bland has returned 3 interceptions for touchdowns, and he says all the right things. He's, a 5th round pick out of Fresno State. Like, this guy is not. He says everything you want an up and coming burgeoning star to say. I really like him. Micah Parsons was a monster all game long. An issue. They held Cooper Kupp, Puka Nacua, and Tutu Atwell to combine for 9 catches for 85 yards. Unbelievable. And then Brandon Aubrey. Everybody's going to be looking for soccer players now. He's at 18 consecutive makes to start his career. If you know your kicker is going to get it through the uprights, it just adds confidence. Tyron Smith, inactive. He hurt his neck during practice. He remains questionable this week. Eagles coming off a 38-31 comeback victory at Washington. Their offense is so good. Even when you know Jalen Hurts can't run, he still throws 4 touchdown passes, 319 yards. Before the kneel downs, he had rushed for 7 yards on 2 attempts. That's the fewest since December 26, 2021. A.J. Brown, look, I know Tyreek Hill's getting all the love, but A.J. Brown's the best receiver in the NFL for my money. Like, he's just big, tough, fast. He can do everything you could ever imagine. But Tyreek Hill's unbelievably explosive. But 8 passes, again, he catches for 130 yards and 2 touchdowns. The first player in NFL history with 125-plus yards receiving 6 straight games. Devonta Smith got 7 for 99. They were 8 of 13 on third down. They're the best third down team in the league. The best. The defense didn't look good. The Commanders put up 472 yards. Look, the Eagles are 25th in the league, allowing opponents to convert 43% of third downs. The Commanders went 2 of 2 in the red zone. The Eagles are 26th in the league, allowing opponents to score 65.2% of red zone drives. They couldn't dial up enough pressure on Howell. Last year, they had 70 sacks. They had 1 last week. They have 25 after 8 games. Reed Blankenship had an interception. Bradley Roby missed a second consecutive game. Jalen Carter left in the third quarter with a back injury. 5 years ago or 10 years ago, let's say, I'd already be on the Eagles because of, I know Dallas goes into Philadelphia and they fucking lose. But I've been hesitant to move on this one. Take it away for us here, Troy. I hate that Hurts' knee is injured. I hate that Hurts needs the bye so much. And the whole Eagles team needs the bye. Maybe we want the Eagles to lose to the Cowboys because then we'll get a better number for them to win the division and a better number for them to win the conference. Take it away, Troy. This is a huge, huge, fun game. 4:25 p.m. Eastern, Lincoln Financial Field, Cowboys, Eagles.
That's a good question. What would this line be if we were completely healthy, no Hurts injury, some of the pieces on the defensive side, offensive side, everything? If it was completely healthy, what would this line be? Probably 3.5. It probably would have opened at 3.5. I'm not sure. That's a good question, though. Something I'll definitely be thinking about here in the near future. But I think that if the Cowboys can't force turnovers, let alone score with their defense, I don't think it's a completely different team. I can't see them winning the game if they're not forcing turnovers and or scoring with their defense. I think the Eagles will be able to run the ball with some continuity, keeping the down and distance reasonable enough where the Cowboys defense is in limbo. And it takes away their superpower with that short down and distance. If the pass rush can't put their hair back and just get after the QB, this defense is certainly not the same. This is the Eagles last week before their bye. We know that that's been favorable for home teams in the past. They're at the house where they're very strong. I want the better coach, the better QB, and the better overall team. I made too much money with this Eagles team to hop off the train now. And the Eagles have been dominant at home the past few years. 10-5 ATS, 3-0 ATS is a favorite of a field goal or less. In those games, 3-0, they won by 18. They won by at least 14 in all 3 occasions. And on the other side, Cowboys are 1-3 ATS as road dogs the past 2 years. And the only cover came with Cooper Rush at quarterback versus the fraudulent Rams of last year where they were way overrated. This is a prove-it-to-me spot. The Cowboys are going to have to prove it to me before I back or would even consider backing them in this spot. I like the Eagles -3. I'll probably have it on a money line parlay as well.
Have you moved on the Eagles yet?
Yes, sir. I got Eagles -3, -110, I believe. Yeah, -110.
I want to hear. Can you guys in the chat let us know what you're doing on this football game? I wanted to talk about the Giants game just because I had come up with my plan and my script and whatever. But this is the one that I've been staring at nonstop. I want the Eagles so bad, but just something just doesn't. I don't know. The week before the bye and hurts his knees, not good. And Micah Parsons going to be all over that. Sky Dragon says his number came Philly -3.5. He might. He prefers the under. Markel's going to be on the Cowboys. Al Cervic's going to be on Philly. B Jizzle G is going to. I think he's going to be on the Cowboys. No, I don't know. I don't know what the right. It's tough to you can't hear the inflection. All right. I want the Eagles. I honestly don't know if I get there. And would I be that upset? Ron Crawford on Philly money. Would I be that upset if the Cowboys won this game? I don't think I would. I think it would open up so many great gambling opportunities for us on the Eagles. So B Jizzle, okay, he's on the Cowboys money line. J Dub says Birds crowd will be nuts. And under makes sense. They can't run on Philly, says Rance. Oh, Markel leaning to the under. Okay, we have Troy on the Eagles -3 at -110. And we have, at this point, 74% of the tickets and 80% of the cash on the Eagles. And this immediately went from 3.5 to 3. I don't mind staying off of this spot. I really don't mind. Birdie saying, he was saying the last year that I might have gone, said last year, he said, I don't think you last year bet 3 public spots. You might bet that many this weekend. It's tough. This is a tough card and a tough week. Let's move on to the next spot on the board, and I'm all over this game. 8:20 p.m. Eastern. Buffalo Bills 5-3, 1-2 on the road. Cincinnati Bengals 4-3, 2-1 at home. Paycor Stadium, Cincinnati, Ohio. 48 Fahrenheit, partly cloudy, 3 miles per hour. I'm not sure what future bets I'll have on the Cincinnati Bengals before kickoff. Even on Thursday, I'll probably be involved and ready. But I'm gonna have some for sure. For sure. This is going to be such a fun game to watch. Of course, we remember what happened last year. It was, awful to watch with Hamlin going down, and we were all so excited about that game last year. This total is opened up at 47. It's now at 48.5, and I moved on overs. First half over, full game over, and I also moved on the Bengals here, -2.5 juiced. It's -117 right now at Pinnacle, and I think I got it -118. I think it's -118 because right after it, I bet it went down to -116, which pissed me off. And this is not a fade of the Buffalo Bills. I want to also make that clear. And I know this is a very public spot. 75% of tickets, 73% cash on the Bengals. 83% of tickets, 74% cash on the over. It's a very public over. Bills come in off a 24-18 win at home over the Bucs. It was strange. It was easier than the score would indicate, but they were also that possible Hail Mary that could have been caught easily from losing. Josh Allen looked excellent. 31-40 for 324 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. He'd been listed on the Bills injury report with a right shoulder injury. We saw him go into the medical tent in the second quarter. He wasn't raising his arm to give high fives. He said he'll be sore for a couple days, quote unquote. I'll be sore for a couple days, but we'll be fine. Khalil Shakir led the Bills in receiving, caught 6 passes for 92 yards. Gabe Davis caught 9 for 87. Stephon Diggs caught 9 for 70. The Bills were 7 of 13 on third down. They're second in the league in that situation at 49%. Eagles are first at 50. The offense very good. No one's questioning that. What we're going to continue to question is what will this defense look like against good competition without Matt Milano? That's what we've been always wondering. That's what I've been wondering. And I don't think they're going to look very good. I think teams are going to be able to score on them. And the fact that the Bucs were able to put up 18 points, the Bucs offense sucks. The defense looks strong. They sacked Mayfield Baker 3 times, hit him 10 times, held the Bucs to 415 on third down. They're just 19th in the league, allowing opponents to convert 40% of the time. They are 6th in the league in red zone defense, but that's going to go up. That number is going to go up. They only allow 42.3% touchdowns, but Matt Milano is so important, so incredible. He's such an incredible football player. Now, they made an important pickup today. They picked up Rasul Douglas from the Packers. That will help them. The Bengals coming off their most impressive win of the season. I don't want to bet a team off their most impressive win of the season, but they're just going to keep winning. Joe Burrow was 28 of 32 for 283 yards, 3 touchdowns. He also ran 6 times for 43 yards. There's your question. How's the calf muscle? He completed 19 straight passes at one point against the 49er defense in San Francisco. Jamar Chase got 10 passes for 100 yards, a touchdown. T. Higgins, there was a T. Higgins sighting. Is he going to be a number 2 again? Caught 5 for 69. Joe Mixon ran 16 times for 87 yards, a touchdown. There were 4 or 5 in the red zone. The defense looked excellent. They put pressure on Purdy all afternoon. Logan Wilson, Jermaine Pratt at interceptions. Logan Wilson's a monster. They both are great. They held the Niners to 2 and 4 in the red zone. They're now 10th in the league on touchdowns just 48.1% of the time. The Bengals are just bet on, so I'm going to bet on them. And I think points will be scored here. Now, there will be long drives. And, long drives and one goal line stand can hurt you and cost you your over, at least first half over. I doubled up overs, first half, full game. I don't care about primetime unders. They can blow me. And I'm on the Bengals. I don't care about, buying high. What's done is done. I bet it, and I'll deal with the consequences. Take it away, Troy. Bills, Bengals.
Wasn't that just a spectacle Joe Burrow put on last week, man? Just classic Joe Burrow. Ability to move in the pocket, manipulate the pocket with his feet, throwing the ball with accuracy all over, just with a level of competency that's just one of a kind. I mean, it was awesome to be on the Bengals. I'm getting the chills right now thinking about it because I was heavy on the Bengals. After talking with you, you were the one that kind of initiated my interest in the Bengals, and hopefully that's like the Giants this week, Jimmy. They were 4 and 5 in the red zone. Everything just went so good for this Bengals team, and it just made me think about when I'm looking at this game. I wanted the Bengals, but I hear you in my head, Jimmy, like buying a team off their best game, and you said it right there. Your ability to throw this or trash that line of thinking that you usually stick to, I think it makes sense in this spot. Oh, I just haven't moved on this game yet, even though we know that the Bills have not been the same. They're definitely not as strong as they have been in years past. And this number is under 3 right now, and I definitely think it closes at 3. Probably don't get to 3.5, but it probably closes at 3. So probably get some CLV at the 2.5 as well. I'm really close. I don't know what my hesitation is. Just because I hear you in my head, buying the team off their best game.
But how about this? Is there any team in the league that could go to Cincinnati on Sunday and beat them? I say no. I say there's not one team in the league that can go in Cincinnati and beat them. Hurts with his knee injury. I mean, what? Who am I worried about? I don't think there's one team in the league that can go into Cincinnati on Sunday this week and beat them. That's what I think.
And this is totally a spot where I've been all over the Bengals in years past, knowing Joe Burrow gets off these slow starts and then he hammers ATS. Let's go. Give me the Bengals. I'm going to go buy it right now.
It's going to be fun. And I think the Bills are a very good football team. Let me stress that. I think they're so good. And maybe they're one of 2 teams that you could think. Now, a healthy Eagles team would be different than what Hurts is dealing with right now and with their injuries to the secondary. Troy is joining me on the Bengals. He's going to be moving on it now. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be a lot of fun. All right, let's move on to the Monday Nighter here. 8:15 p.m. Eastern. I will not be hosting the live stream on the Sunday night because we'll have Breeders' Cup Friday and Saturday, but I will be back for the Monday Nighter. That means that this game that I'm so heavily invested in, Bills-Bengals, I can't sit up and drink till 3 a.m. after doing that on Friday night and Saturday night and being on stream for 18 hours. I need to take a second. But I'll be here for this shit football game. Chargers, Jets, MetLife Stadium, East Rutherford, New Jersey, 51 Fahrenheit, partly cloudy, 5 miles per hour. I love the cap in this football game. There's so many moving parts, so I do enjoy it. But I was thinking, Troy, because, we've been hitting our same game parlays and we've been cashing on them live. I was like, I don't have to put one together for this fucking football game because I don't understand why the Chargers are getting as much love as they are. They open up at -2 at Pinnacle. They go to -2.5. Now they're -3.5. It's more of a 3, but you can get the Jets plus 3.5 at -121. That's how bad the Jets just looked against the Giants. That doesn't make sense to me. It really doesn't. I don't think that the Chargers have any right to be this big of a road favorite against anybody. And the fact that they just beat up on the Bears who cares? I don't know why it's a big deal here. This total has dropped down to 41 here. And even that, I don't like. Do I really expect the Chargers defense to stop anybody? I don't even know if I do there. I against this Jets team that could do absolutely nothing against the Giants. This is a tricky spot. I don't find this as like any kind of a slam dunk at all. 47% of tickets and 72% of cash are on the Jets, but the market's moving towards the Chargers. 81% of tickets and 98% of cash are on the under. The market's moving quickly to the under. Chargers come in off that easy win. They scored points on their first 5 drives. That's the first time they've done that in 6 years. That finger is a problem. It's becoming a little bit less of a problem. He was able to just have it in the cast and not in his hand in a glove, but look at that finger. It's just it can't be comfortable for him. I know it's not on his throwing hand, but good God, it can't be comfortable for him. He went 31 to 40 for 298 yards and 3 touchdowns. Eckler led receivers with 7 catches for 94 yards and a touchdown, but he struggled again on the ground. He ran 15 times for 29 yards and he lost a fumble. Joshua Kelly ran 6 times for 21 yards. Keenan Allen caught 8 passes for 69 yards. The defense only allowed 13 points, but the Bears still put up 295 yards. The Bears still went 6 of 14 in the red zone and a perfect 6 of 14 on third down and 2 of 2 in the red zone. Perfect in the red zone. The Chargers' third down defense has been good this season. Good enough, 13th in the league. They're 21st in red zone defense. They didn't dial up any pressure. They didn't have to on Bagent. They finished with a sack and 2 quarterback hits. Jazeer Taylor and Derwin James had picks. Gerald Everett, hip injury, looks like it's going to be a bit of a problem. We don't know if he'll play this week. The Jets coming off an ugly 13-10 overtime win at the Giants. Tyrod Taylor got hurt. The Giants gave up on trying to throw. The Jets defense held the Giants to -9 net passing yards. The Jets held the Giants to 2-19 on third down, 0 passing first downs. If all that's the case, then why was it so hard to beat the Giants? Like, it just, how bad is your offense? The Jets offense and the Giants offense had the same amount of first downs, and the Giants had -9 net passing yards. So people were riding high on Zach Wilson. Obviously, it's come crashing down. He was 17 of 36 for 240 yards, touchdown. He lost 2 more fumbles. But this is probably a buy low spot on the Jets against a Chargers team that's very fraudulent. And I don't know if I can get there. The Jets offense last in the NFL, converting 23% of third downs. They were 0-2 in the red zone. They're also last in the NFL in red zone. They scored touchdowns on 26.32% of their red zone opportunities. Garrett Wilson caught 7 for 100. The running game was abysmal. Breece Hall ran 12 times for 17 yards. He did catch 6 for 76 and a touchdown. The defense was strong, but who doesn't look good against Tommy DeVito? Defensive lineman Al Woods done for the season with a torn Achilles. Connor McGovern with a knee injury and Wes Schweitzer with the calf injury, left with injuries. McGovern's going to miss time. So, who's going to start at center? If McGovern's not there, it could be Tippmann, it could be Schweitzer. You could give Xavier Newman the start, but they're not going to be as good as McGovern. So they have a problem at center. I don't know how to bet this game at this point, and I want to know because we're going to be live on Monday here on Pub Sports Radio. So take it away, Troy. Final game on tonight's card, Chargers-Jets.
This was very easy to me to land on a bet in this game. It was as easy as this. Primetime game, the home team's a dog. I'm betting the under. I'm undefeated this season, betting the under when the home team's a dog and it's a primetime game. I'm going to stick to it. And if you look at all the trends in the database based on the Pinnacle line movement and the cash flow, 6-0 to the under based on this spread, where it's at. When you got a home dog on a low total, the shit goes under at just a miraculous rate. I just can't even fathom it, especially when the line's moving to the under. So primetime games, let's see. This spot, let me get rid of some of these filters. Sorry. Home team is a dog. Primetime game. Or the spread is greater than 0. 26-6 to the under. That's 82%. That's all I needed to see. I'm on the under 41.5.
Yeah, that makes sense because the Jets. I just can't take the Chargers.
And look at how the Chargers look at their totals when they play against competent defenses. The Chiefs, the Cowboys, just close, grinded out type of games.
I can't. there's zero chance that I'll be on the Chargers here. And it's not that I don't think they can beat the Jets. I do. It's just after watching them destroy the Bears, to believe that they're that type of a football team is crazy. Sky Dragon says he loves the under 2. Maybe I'm just trying too hard to, because the Jets are not going to score and the Jets defense is good. The Chargers have not been able to run the ball against competent defenses. And if you're going to try to throw on Sauce and DJ, I mean, you're in trouble. Rand says 17-13 type game. Maybe you guys have figured this out. Maybe it's not too late to go on the under, even though it has dropped. 81% of tickets and 98% of cash on the under. Ugh. All right. This is going to be fun. I think I'm going to join you guys on the under here. Because this just makes sense. I'm looking forward to some inclement weather, which we'll get in a little bit. That is our show for today. Let's review all action here. And first off, I'll pull up Troy's action now and look at it. I was trying to kind of be surprised as we went on, but it's right here. So first off, Troy's on the Titans +3 and -110. Then he's on the under in Dolphins Chiefs, under 51 at -110. I have some interest in the first half under. But as you said, the market understands that would be the case, and it's 24.5 compared to the 51. So I'm certainly not going to move on that tonight. Troy also has a teaser with Dolphins +8.5, Browns -1.5. Then the Falcons Ravens money line parlay for Troy, that's at +110. Cardinals Browns, I expect to use the Browns in my survivor pool this year. We're getting down low now. The under in Rams Packers was not initially part of my plan, and I just don't think Stafford plays. I think that's the Wolford pickup. I think I move on this. Tonight. I'm going to look at it a little more, but I think I move on that. I want the Commanders, and I'm going to bet them. I want them. I wonder if this will get to 4. I don't believe in the story that I don't believe that they're tanking. I think they wanted to get these guys out of the room. So Sweat and Chase Young. I know that I've got to look into it a little more. I can't believe that the Saints could be the spot. I hate the idea of betting it. I just think that Bajent's in for a rough ride here. But I got to take more time on that. Seahawks, Ravens, part of the Ravens Falcons money line parlay for Troy. Troy's on the Bucks +3 at -118. I've become interested in them here at the plus money. Quite interested. I don't know if I could take the Colts at this point, but it does make sense that they're a buy low spot and Carolina's a sell high spot. But maybe Carolina feels good showing up at the stadium for the first time in a long time and back-to-back home games to get comfortable. I'd prefer to not have it on my card. Giants Raiders. I doubled up on the Giants. I took them +2.5. I took them on the money line, and I'm really confident in the spot, and we'll see. I'm on the Giants. And then Troy's on the Eagles -3. I get it. I honestly think that I'm not going to get there. I really do. I want to watch this game. I don't want the vividness bias of the Eagles stomping on the Cowboys at home to get in the way here of a spot that I probably at this point, because I'm on the Bengals, I'm on the first half over and full game over. So much of my action is public. I don't remember being this public in a long, long time. And then Then I had the under 41. That Troy's on the under 41.5 in the Monday Nighter, and that is a spot that has 98% of cash on it right now. It's I've got to sit with this card for a little longer and make my bets here. Troy, what a pleasure it is rocking with you on these Tuesday nights. Thank you for being so malleable with the time slot, allowing me to push it an hour. That meant a lot to me to spend that time with Ella. So thank you very, very much. And thank you to everybody in the chat that was cool with us pushing it back an hour. And I just am so thankful for this opportunity. And now we got a ton of work to do, man. Betting with the Bag is in 11 hours and 36 minutes. Before we give a shout out to all the cappers in the chat, and you can pick out some that you'd like to give a shout out. Any last words, Troy, for the cappers here supporting the show?
Man, the chat is awesome. I'm reading the chat constantly. If you see me looking or side eyeing, I'm reading the chat. I just love what the chat brings to the table. It's a beautiful thing. I'm considering the Giants plus 2.5. I'll definitely be on the Giants in some way, shape, or form. The Pats Commanders under is probably going to end up making my list, and then I'm definitely going to have a few of these underdogs on a money line round robin or money line straight bets. And those would be the Titans, Dolphins, Bucks, Panthers, and Bills. But I'm still working on it. So, follow me on Twitter if you haven't already. I'll be dropping all my plays. I try to stay as transparent as possible. So, yeah, that's all I really got, Jimmy. Let's get this cash this week, man. Huge week. Huge week.
Money. You do a great job at the transparency thing. I respect it very much. Thank you to everybody in the chat. North Ender, Al Cervic, Ron Crawford, the Cheshire Cat, Mac Beavers, Blue Numbers, Rants, B, Jizzle, G, Come On, Breeze, Saturated, Birdie, Slatsy, Jared TG. Thank you guys. Fernando Mendoza. Thank you all. Sky Dragon. We truly have no show without you guys. So thank you so much for your insights and your humor and your angles. Joseph Gomez, Christopher Comentini, Harold Williams, Big O. Thank you guys so much. We have a huge week ahead at Pub Sports Radio, and this is, probably my favorite weekend of the year. I get it is my favorite weekend of the year is Breeders' Cup. So sometimes the work is so difficult this time of year that I forget how much I love the Breeders' Cup, but we'll have that all day Friday and all day Saturday. Thank you so much to Jose. Because I push it an hour back, and so now it's 11:30 at night, and he's in Miami, so he doesn't have hour advantage. He's got to cut these videos. Jose, thank you for being so malleable and working so hard for us. Thank you, truly, truly, thank you. All right, we are combined. Troy and I are combined. 246 bets in, and we're combined up 4 units. This is a battle, but the black is where we want to be, and we got to get this cash. We got to succeed. So much of our life depends on it. So let's get this cash. Week 9 awaits. We've done the work. We got more work to do, and let's get paid for it. Now, let's make that money. Thank you guys for watching. Let's go out there and milk these bookies. Let's go out there and get this Week 9 cash. Leche. Hey, Los Bookies.